Hello, hi, welcome back everybody to the Dough Cooking Show, to the Dough Cooking Stream. It has been a long time. It has been weeks, in fact, since I've last seen all of you, and so it is good to have all of you again. Hello to Trash Can Cat Mom, hello to Two Dads Kissing, hello to Goth Moth, hello to Shy Chica, hello to M-Rock. Welcome on in. It is lovely to have all of you here today. Today's a particularly exciting day. For those of you that might just now be tuning in and wondering where I went, well, the answer is, also I don't think I finished posting my tweet announcement for today, is that I had COVID. Yeah, I was out with COVID for a little bit. I was sick with COVID. And so I was not able to go ahead and do the stream. So it was like a lot of inconvenient things happening all at the same time. But in the meantime, it is going to be lovely to have all of you with me. So I had to finish posting my link for the Twitter announcement. Welcome on in, everybody. It is good to see all of you. And so as always, if anybody has any questions for me throughout the day, please feel free to ask me. Today is an especially exciting show because this is actually the 1-year anniversary. I believe in my Discord, Dosky pointed out to me that the first stream was on August 11th of this day, exactly 1 year ago. And so it is currently, once again, August 11th. So it has officially been 1 year of the cooking show, which is a little bit odd to think about considering it feels like I still just started, but, and so that's why we're doing something a little bit festive today. That's why we're gonna be celebrating today. Everybody, we're gonna be making something that I never do here, which is we're gonna make some cookies. Normally, I try to abstain from eating things that are sweet, but I love making cookies, and I think every now and then it's always exciting to just have a nice little treat. We're gonna make some chocolate chunk cookies. This is a variation based off of Joshua Weissman's chocolate cookies that he did in a video way back when. It's a very good technique. It's a very good display of a lot of different techniques that you would need for cookies. And so I do quite like that as a video, even if I'm not a very big Joshua Weissman advocate otherwise. That cookie recipe from many years ago is very nice still. Okay, in the meantime, we can go ahead and talk about some of the ingredients. And then also, I wanted to do a dish that I love. I wanted to do a dish that I would find delicious. We're gonna be doing a big, beautiful baked pasta today with a spinach cream sauce. It's a nice way of using up a bunch of spinach. We're gonna get some green peas in there. We're gonna get some mushrooms in there. It's gonna be entirely vegetarian. It's gonna be stuffed with mozzarella and parmesan. And so we can go ahead and talk about some of the ingredients that we have today. So let's start it off with the pasta ingredients. Everybody, we have a bunch of fresh spinach here. I have a bunch of fresh spinach that I've soaked in some cold water and of course washed out over and over again. And all of this will be used towards the final baked pasta. The reason why I love being able to show off, the reason why I love being able to showcase these kinds of baked pastas is they're a really nice way of using up a bunch of fresh spinach all at once. I am always thinking about how can I get as much of something concentrated and into a dish, and I love doing a spinach baked pasta as a result. It's gonna be green, it's gonna be vibrant, and it's gonna be delicious. So I have a bunch of spinach. I did not necessarily measure the amount of spinach. If you can, I would avoid using baby spinach because baby spinach tends to be a little bit more expensive than the adult spinach variant. And also, don't buy the pre-washed boxes. You still typically need to wash it anyways afterwards. So I have a bunch of spinach that I have all nice and washed up and ready to go for today. Next, you could use, as always, any kind of pasta. I have some campanelli today. They're like these weird little corkscrew shapes. They have slightly ridged edges. They have a hole running through them. You could do any kind of short pasta for baking. You could do penne, you could do ziti, you could do rigatoni. You could do anything that you would like. But in my case, I'm using these campanelli purely because I think that they're pretty cute. We have a pretty cool pasta shape. So you just want a nice short pasta shape and something that can hold a very nice thick creamy sauce. So a big box of campanelli. We're going to be doing roughly 3/4 of a pound today. I don't think I need a pound of baked pasta all at once. Okay, gonna go ahead and set that down. Next up, everybody, I have some white button mushrooms. I'll be showing you how to saute it. I'll be showing you how to process it, and it's all gonna get mixed into the pasta and baked with the pasta. This is gonna give us some nice protein. It's gonna pair beautifully with the peas and the fresh spinach. So we have a bunch of mushrooms, about half a pound of mushrooms or so. And as always, you can use any kind of mushrooms that you would like. Then everybody, we have a whole block of mozzarella cheese, as well as some Parmesan. Now, this isn't traditional Italian Parmigiano Reggiano. This is American plastic wrap Parmesan, but it's still going to be delicious. We have some whole milk mozzarella cheese. It's going to shred up. It's going to get nice and melty. It's going to get nice and beautiful and give us these really delicious cheesy pockets, whereas the Parmesan is going to give us some of that unctuousness. It's going to give us some of that oomph, some of that saltiness. Okay, so mozzarella as well as some Parmesan. I can go ahead and set that behind me. Next, we'll be doing a white sauce for the pasta. We're going to be doing a bechamel. I'm going to teach you guys how to do bechamel. And that's just basically going to be a sauce made of milk and butter and flour. So we have some milk. I have some butter and flour behind me as well. And then we can get into the cookie ingredients. The cookie ingredients, really simple. All-purpose flour, really, really basic. Any kind of all-purpose flour would be just fine. We have some granulated white sugar and dark brown sugar. The only difference between white sugar and brown sugar is that brown sugar has added molasses into it. So white sugar and brown sugar, all of that ready to go as well for today, alongside some butter. And then everybody, I need to hear a nice resounding yes chef, please and thank you from everybody watching. We will not be using chocolate chips. We will not be using, chocolate that isn't actually all that good to eat. We're going to be doing a 85% dark chocolate, ideally a 90% or something even darker than that. But it's going to get roughly chopped up and mixed into the cookies. Moving away from prepackaged chocolate chips into, hey, chocolate bars that are really delicious to eat by themselves is going to really, really dramatically improve how good your cookies are. And then in addition to that, we get a lot of textural variation. We'll be hand chopping it, so we'll get some very fine granules, we'll get some big granules, and it's going to mix up into the dough and be really delicious. So once again, this cookie recipe innately is not based off of my own cookie. This is based off of Joshua Weissman's cookies. I really, really like them. I find them to be quite straightforward, quite simple, and we can always go ahead and talk about the technique behind them. I don't normally like to do a lot of sweets. I don't normally like to do a lot of pastry or baking, but in this case, I felt like today was apt. So, everybody, this is our first stream back in a while. For those of you that would like to help support the cooking show, !Patreon. At any point in time, if you would like to look at a full list of all of the ingredients, you can also type in !menu. And so we have a lot of prep to get done. The first thing is we have to make the cookie dough and let it rest. Why do we let it rest? We let it rest so that the flour is able to fully hydrate. A really big mistake that people often make when it comes to doing cookies is they try to make a dough and they bake it off immediately and it spreads out all over the place. By letting it properly rest, by letting the dough actually hydrate for at least a few hours ahead of time, it's going to make sure that the cookies bake up properly. So that is why we do this ahead of time. Do not make the cookie dough when you want to eat it. Make it quite a ways before. So I have for me ready a lovely cutting board, and we're going to begin by doing our dry and wet ingredients respectively. So everybody, as always, when it comes to baking, one of the best things that you can do for yourself is invest in a kitchen scale. Why do you invest in a kitchen scale? It's because volume generally fluctuates. A cup of this on one day versus a cup of that, depending on how tightly you pack it, can be incredibly variable. The beauty of using a kitchen scale is that you get to go ahead and make things as consistent as possible. So a kitchen scale, it'll go a super long way. Highly, highly recommend investing into one. Okay, next I'm gonna go ahead and grab a nice big bowl. We want a bowl that's slightly too big, because if it's slightly too big, then we know for sure that it's gonna be able to accommodate all of the ingredients. I'm gonna turn this on with the bowl to tell it, right? Because otherwise, once we take this off, it'll tell us that we have a negative weight, right? Put it back on, excellent. Now, that is already at ounces. We're gonna do this all in grams today. Okay, excellent. And so we're going to start off with doing all of our dry ingredients. Our flour, our baking soda, and our salt. Do you have any recommendations of brands for the kitchen scale? Dr. Slowbro, I do not, but a very nice general rule of thumb is that you could look up a Serious Eats equipment buying guide. This is a scale that I have for my lovely roommate, so I borrowed it. It's fine, it does the job. You just want to maybe get one that does very small measurements well. So I don't have any recommendations, Dr. Slowbro, but just, go to those kinds of trusted sources like Serious Eats for recommendation. I feel like is always a good way to go. So we got a bowl ready, and now I can go ahead and take a look at some of the ratios that we need for today. So it's going to start off with, which I'll go ahead and tell you all right now, we're going to need about 200 grams of flour. 200 grams of flour into the bowl. Also, J.O. Red, welcome on in. It is lovely to have you. Annie, welcome on in as well. That's right, it has officially been 1 year of the cooking show. So that's already 160, 173. Come on, almost there. Perfect. 200 grams of flour. Taza, it's because you didn't say anything into the chat. Welcome on in, Taza. I hope you're having an excellent day as well today. Okay, flour inside of the bowl, doing its job. Excellent. Next, we're going to go ahead and measure out some salt and some baking soda. So we're gonna need about 3 grams of salt and 4 grams of baking soda, my friends. Now, because of the fact that we are using, weight as a measurement instead of volume, it does not matter the kind of salt that you add. Whereas with teaspoons and tablespoons, when it comes to measuring salt, it is heavily dependent on the kind of salt that you have. Also, Annie, thank you so much for the sub. I really appreciate it. Are my Twitch notifications not functional? Are they not working for you guys? Like, are you seeing like the pop-ups on the Twitch screen? Because I'm not sure if they're coming out or not. 3 grams going right inside. Although I'm already several pinches in and I feel like that's plenty. No? Okay, well, it seems like my alerts are broken and I don't know why. Well, I'm sorry. I did not necessarily want to have broken alerts. I apologize, guys. I sincerely apologize. But I don't really know what to do about that at this present moment in time. So I apologize. Also, Nimbus Roshi, welcome on in. Hope you're having an excellent day today. We're going to go ahead and get about 4 grams of baking soda or so. So we got to go ahead and equal 207 grams. Almost done. Although, I'm looking at that amount of baking soda, and I am in my mind going, that does seem plenty. There we go, 207. I think that's going to be more than fine for my purposes today. So everybody, once again, we do the dry ingredients separately. Why? We don't want to add things like baking soda and salt directly to something wet, because it'll clump up because of the moisture. By doing your dry ingredients fully separately, okay, we get to really ensure that everything gets properly mixed in. We want the flour, the salt, and the baking soda to all be evenly distributed at this stage. So you cannot over whisk it. You gotta whisk it up, my friends. You gotta whisk it up. You gotta whisk it. Whisk it over and over again, okay, until it is completely homogeneous. You don't want any clumps of flour. You don't want any clumps of sugar or salt, rather. And can I please get a yes chef from everybody watching, please, and thank you. I want to make sure that everybody has that clear. I want to make sure that everybody understands that. Okay. So salt, flour, baking soda, whisk it up, guys. Go all the way around. Trust me, it might be a little bit difficult to tell because the salt and the baking soda, they're all white. But this is how we fully ensure that everything comes out nice and homogeneous. So I think that should be all whisked up. I'm going to go ahead and save this for later on, because later on is when I will be using this for the bechamel itself. I'll also be getting some water up to a boil for later. Get that on right now. And of course, everybody, as always, if you have any questions whatsoever, now would be an amazing time to ask me. Moonha, welcome on in. Hope you're having an excellent day, my friend. Okie dokie, we can go ahead and set this bad boy aside now. We can work on all of our wet ingredients today, my friends. So that is going to include the sugar, the butter, as well as the egg. We're going to need to measure out the amount of butter for today, which I will give an exact measurement of. Let's see. We're going to need 112 grams of butter. That is going to be the majority of this container, the majority of this package rather. So I'm going to grab my scale once again. Tell it, please. I guess it doesn't want to work today, so I'm just going to go ahead and shut it off. So why do English people call cookies biscuits? I think you're asking about, oh yeah, why do English people call cookies biscuits? Honestly, Chow Yard, I have no idea. I wouldn't be able to tell you at all. I'm afraid that I don't think I'm actually all that qualified to answer that question today. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a little microwavable bowl. And we just have to melt this butter down, my friends. We have to melt it down. We have to get it ready to go into, the final product for today. We don't really need to whip any air into the butter whatsoever. We don't need to do anything crazy like that. We just need to get it processed and melted. So I'm going to go ahead and tailor this to the best of my abilities once again. And I'm going to get 112 grams inside let's see how close my cut ended up being. And I'm using Presidente. This is a European style butter. It's going to yield for a better texture cookie at the end of the day. It has a little bit less water weight inside of it and more butter fat. So let's take a look. That's 126. So actually not all that close. I'm gonna go ahead and have to cut off a little bit more butter. 114, a little bit more. 113, a little bit more. 112. Excellent. So everybody, when it comes to softening and melting butter inside of the microwave, you never want to go for more than a few seconds at a time, because if you put it in for a couple of minutes, how many times have you microwaved butter and it exploded all over the place? It explodes all over the place if you superheat it. So everybody, the key to this, the trick is to go in 10 seconds, mix it up. 10 seconds, mix it up. And that's exactly what we're going to do. Put it in 10 seconds and mix it up. And now I can go ahead and hopefully get rid of the rest of this butter. Microwave power setting too. Now, the power setting for the microwave doesn't really matter as much. I think it's just more so about the length of time that you microwave it for. So maybe not exactly 10 seconds. We can do like 20 to 30 second increments. Mine is nowhere close to being melted. But guys, again, to stop it from exploding in the microwave, you have to heat it up slowly. Remember that butter is not a pure fat. It has some water inside of it. If you heat up the water, it's going to end up reacting with the rest of the fat, and it's going to go ahead and make a mess. I don't want any of that to take place, okay? So making sure I'm heating that up nice and slowly. Right? You can see that at this stage, it is mostly melted. So just gonna go in there, mix it up, mix it up, mix it up, mix it up. And again, doing so ensures that you have no mess in your kitchen that you're not prepared to handle. In it goes. And I'm gonna go ahead and put the rest of the butter away and into the fridge. There's my plastic wrap. Just get it all nice and melted, get it ready to go, and then we can proceed with the rest of the ingredients for today. Get rid of that, get them out of here. Excellent. My butter seems to be all nice and melted. There you go. Beautiful. How am I doing, Daramgar? I gotta say, cool boy, I'm doing quite well for myself. It's nice to no longer have COVID. It is nice to be finally free of COVID. And so I am enjoying what it's like to feel, you know, like a person again for a little bit. So I gotta say I'm doing quite well. How about yourself? Okay, that has been acquired. Next up, everybody, we have to go ahead and get these sugars nice and mixed up. We have to measure out the sugars. I believe we're going to be doing about 200 grams of the brown sugar and about 112 grams, so basically the same amount of white sugar. We're going to get that measured out. We're going to get that into another bowl for our purposes today. There it is. I think this bowl is going to do just fine. Let's hopefully tally that correctly this time. Okay, so everybody, once again, 112 grams or so of white sugar, just plain white sugar. A little bit more, a little bit closer. Okay, that ended up being a little bit too much, but it's okay because then we could just even it out with the 200 grams of dark brown sugar. So in total, we are shooting for 312 grams of sugar today. Is that a lot of sugar? Absolutely it is. It's an aggressive amount of sugar. But remember, this is a cookie. Cookies are, you know, contrary to popular belief, sometimes meant to be sweet, and that is okay. Okay, so 200 grams of brown sugar or so. And again, this is not entirely my own recipe here per se. Normally I do things entirely on my own, but this cookie recipe is based off of the Joshua Weissman one, just for full, you know, clarity. Okay. I work with a kitchen scale almost every day for measuring paint though. Interesting. I never knew that you'd use a scale to measure the paint, but I guess that makes sense. So let's go ahead and get some of the dark brown sugar in there. Although theoretically, this could also just work out if you had nothing but white sugar. Again, the only difference between white sugar and brown sugar is that dark sugar, or rather brown sugar, has molasses added to it. So it adds in another like element of flavor, it adds in like another level of flavor, but not the most important thing in the world. So, get it in there. Come on, there you go. Thank you. I should have probably opened the package before the stream itself. To probably make my life significantly easier. Come on, please. Please come out. Oh, save me. It's not coming out particularly well. I should have just made a bigger incision. That's completely on me. All that I could have done here was just make a bigger hole in the bag. But instead, I was stubborn. I was stubborn and I decided, oh no, I didn't need to do that. It would be fine. I could make a second incision now, but what's even the point? Okay, I gotta do it all in one shot at this rate. Come on. Basically though, again, everybody, we only need 312 grams of sugar for today in total. This is a little bit much, so we can go ahead and get rid of some. Look, that was not the best technique in the world of getting sugar out of a bag, but guess what? I don't like to cook with sugar often, so this is not a technique that I particularly need to master, okay? So it's fine. It's fine, it's okay, nobody is upset, and nobody is hurt. And that, above all else, is what matters. Get a little bit more out. Again, in total, 312 grams of sugar. Beautiful. And last but not least, my friends, we're going to add in the melted butter, and we're going to add in the egg, and we're going to mix it all together until it is nice and homogeneous. Again, we process the wet and the dry ingredients separately so that we don't overwork the flour. If we overwork the flour, if we overdevelop the gluten, what ends up happening is the cookie becomes too chewy. In pastry, you don't want gluten development usually. You want as little as possible, okay? So, we're going to go ahead and get the melted butter, all of it inside of the sugar at the moment. And we're just going to mix this, once again, my friends, until it is as homogeneous as it can be. And then we'll go ahead and go in with 1 egg and 1 egg yolk. Okay, so just mix it up, mix it up, mix it up. It's going to be a little bit stiff. It's going to be a little bit tacky at the moment. I should have probably used a spoon instead of a whisk in this case, which is exactly what I'm going to switch over to in a moment. Okay, and I'm gonna go grab a wooden spoon, something that I'll be using to combine the rest of the dough together. So we're just hydrating the sugar, we're mixing all of it up at the stage, and then everybody, we're going to add in the egg and the egg yolk. Does anybody have any questions for me? Because now would be an amazing time to go ahead and ask. First streaming was tacos from scratch? I believe so. I do think that was the first stream that we ever did on the cooking show. So good eye, good memory. Gonna grab an egg yolk from the fridge. Excuse me, where did they go? Ah. And so, you know, you might be asking, why are we just using an egg and an egg yolk instead of 2 whole eggs? And the answer is, we're able to add in a little bit of extra fat and protein from the egg yolk instead of getting all of the extra water from the egg white itself. So it helps to make a much richer cookie, a much denser, and a much chewier cookie, my friends. Okay? So, let's go ahead, and against a flat surface, nice flat surface, crack it hard, and into the bowl. This is gonna be the whole egg. Beautiful. And then, my friends, we're just going to do the egg yolk itself. So I'm going to take my waste bowl. I'm not going to be saving my egg white for anything. I'm going to be using the sides, okay, over the eggshell to cut off the egg white, because the sides of the eggshell are nice and sharp. So it cuts off the egg white, it cuts off the egg white, and then we can go ahead and get that all into the bowl. And let's go ahead and get it mixed up, my friends. So that's all. Nice and easy. Got it done. Okay, and just add it in and mix it all in, my friends. This year I'm at work and I can't watch the full stream. Well, Tobias, it's lovely to have you anyways, and thank you for stopping by. So, eggs, butter, sugar, mix it all in. And we add the melted butter into the sugar first, just in case the butter is so hot that it risks accidentally cooking the eggs. So you want to add it first to the cold ingredients. You want to first add it into the cold sugar and not directly into the eggs, my friends. You could make a potentially critical mistake in doing so. Liam, welcome on in. It is lovely to have you. I missed you so much. Hope you're having an excellent day today. Okay, so all of this, just about ready to go, my friends. Just mix it up until you see no streaks of egg white whatsoever. And that's right, Pseudo Natural, we're doing something sweet, we're doing cookies, because it is officially a year anniversary of us doing the cooking show. And so, I wanted to do something special for us. All right? Mix it all up, my friends. Remember, you cannot over-mix it at this stage, but you can under-mix it. So mix it up until you see no streaks of egg white, no streaks of egg yolk, no unmixed parts of butter and sugar. You gotta make sure that all of it is nice and homogeneous, my friends. So keep mixing it, keep mixing it, keep mixing it, keep mixing it, keep mixing it. Okay? And just keep it going. And then we'll be almost done with it. We'll be almost done with it in just a moment's time. Just getting all of it whipped up. And then, last but not least, I did forget, let me see if we have some vanilla. If we don't have any vanilla, you know, it'll be totally fine. The vanilla doesn't do anything except add in some flavor. It makes it smell like vanilla. I feel like it's a little bit self-explanatory, but not having it is not going to make or break it. I don't actually think we have any vanilla anywhere. That is okay. These cookies will be without vanilla, but I think that we'll live somehow. We'll somehow make it. We'll somehow live. We'll somehow survive cookies without vanilla. Okay. Everybody, butter and sugar mixture. I'm gonna go ahead and set that behind me as well. Last but not least, it is time for us to go ahead and chop up some dark chocolate. Okay, so really important. We never, ever use chocolate chips. We use a chocolate that is so good that you want to eat it, and we're going to roughly chunk it up, and it's going to be really nice and heterogeneous inside of the cookie itself. Okay, so just making sure that I have everything in order, that everything is all together. I think we should be ready to go. Gonna grab my chocolate bars out of the fridge because you want them to be as cold as possible, my friends. You do not want the chocolate to be warm. It'll melt all over your cutting board in the cutting process. Now, the way that you cut up cookies, or the way that you cut up chocolate, excuse me, is you never touch it with your hands. Your hands are warm. Your knife is cold metal. If you touch it with your hands, you're going to end up melting the chocolate, and it's going to make a mess both on your hands and all over the cutting board. We're using 7 ounces of dark chocolate today, my friends. We're not using chocolate chips. We're using a dark chocolate that is so tasty that it makes you want to eat it. And the beauty of using a chocolate bar is that it's not going to be homogeneous. It's not going to be homogeneous little chocolate chips, right? We get to have that really delicious heterogeneous texture to them. So, taking it, getting it nice and peeled up, and then we'll just chop it up into some little chunks, my friends. You're not supposed to get it perfectly even. We're just supposed to get this somewhat processed. It's going to melt all over the cookie tray, and that is totally okay. So, chocolate, knife. Again, as we cut the chocolate, everybody, and I need to hear another yes, chef, do not touch that chocolate. Do not touch it. That is the best advice I can give you. Start from the corner, okay? Maybe we could just do it like this instead. Start from the corner and get a bunch of little thin shavings of chocolate. Just shave it up, chop it up. Again, you want big chunks and you want small chunks. You want it to be really heterogeneous to ensure that we have lovely heterogeneous cookies. You just don't want any chunks that are too long. But this way, my friends, some of the chocolate is going to directly melt into the dough. Some of it is going to be in these lovely massive pieces throughout the cookie itself. And do not touch that shredded chocolate with your hands. Do not touch it. It will stick to your hands once it's been shredded like this. Because remember, your hands are warm. Your knife and cutting board will remain cold, so as long as you don't transfer that heat. I cannot emphasize this to you enough. Just keep that in mind. Daramgar should devour the whole bar of chocolate. That would be too much. That would be too much chocolate for me. So take it and chunk it up, my friends. Chunk it up, chunk it up, chunk it up. Move that bad boy up. Chunk it up, chunk it up, chunk it up, chunk it up. Beautiful. Just like that, a bunch of nice shavings of chocolate, my friends. chunk it up. You want it to be nice and cold. You don't want it to melt all over the cutting board. I know I keep saying that over and over, but it is essential. We're getting through it. We're getting it done. And again, resist the urge to wipe down the knife. I'm just adjusting the rest of the chocolate bar, getting it back involved with everybody else. Eskia, welcome on in. I hope you're having an excellent day today. There you go, there you go, there you go, there you go. Whew. Okay, I'm gonna have a little piece. Almost done, my friends. And we have, this is an aggressive amount of chocolate if I've ever seen it. And that is okay. That is what we want for a chocolate cookie. Remember, your chocolate is as much of an ingredient as everything else is. You don't want to be using chocolate chips that have nothing to provide but the flavor of sugar. You want some really, really delicious dark chocolate because you want the bitterness. You want the complexity to contrast with the sweetness of the cookie. Okay? So, now that my chocolate is officially all chopped up, my friends, I'm going to grab my little bench scraper in just a second after I throw this away. Where did I put my bench scraper? There it is. Okay? And everybody, once again, do not handle this with your paws. Don't handle this with your hands, even with gloves. You want to use nice, cold metal, cold steel, cold bench scraper. Okay? That is how you ensure that the chocolate doesn't melt. The chocolate is not melting. It is not sticking to anything this way. Right? This is normally one of the most annoying parts of the whole process, and yet we're able to just really, really quickly and easily get it off of the cutting board because we're handling it in such a delicate way, my friends. As soon as you put your warm hands to these little thin chocolate shavings, they will stick to everything and make a mess. So, clean all that up, get that stuff out of here, get them out of here, get them gone. Even all of these little bits, ensure that you clean it up. And that is how we get beautifully finely chopped chocolate without needing to melt it. Okay, chocolate done. All of the different ingredients are done. Now the last thing that we have to do, my friends, is just to mix it together. We just have to bring it together, mix it together. It's going to be nice and easy. I probably should have switched which bowl contained what, but I think that's going to be okay. And so, the key to this, my friends, do not over-mix it, because if you over-mix it, you are going to end up with chewy cookies instead of, well, chewy in an unpleasant way, in a bread-like way. So, we're going to do some of the flour, not all of it all at once. So some of the flour goes in, and take it and gently fold it in, my friends. Fold it in, mix it in, mix it in. Mix it in until you have no massive clumps of flour left over. So mix it in, mix it in, mix it in, mix it in. Okay, get the sides. Make sure that you're incorporating the sides. Make sure that you're incorporating the bottom of the bowl. Mix it all in, my friends. Mix it in, mix it in, mix it in. Okay, and it's okay if you have a few little clumps of flour like this. That is not an issue at all. Okay, it's not going to be an issue baking up. It's going to be just fine by the end of it all. In fact, a couple of lumps is ideal because it's a nice indicator that you did not overmix this. Guys, you can overmix cookies. Don't overmix them. You will not be happy with the end result. So a little bit more flour goes in, and then we do the chocolate, and then we do the last of the flour. It's easier to do the chocolate before the last batch of the flour, because if we add the chocolate at the end, that is when the dough is at its stiffest. So take it in, mix in the flour, my friends, mix it in, mix it all in, just like that. Does anybody have any questions for me at this moment in time? Mix it in, mix it in, mix it in. Get all of the dried little clumps of flour out of here. Get them out. Get those sides mixed in. There you go. Excellent. And now we can go ahead and mix in all of the chocolate at this stage in the process. There you go. Add it on in. Mix it up, and then we can do the last of the flour. And this will be all ready to go for today. That's that. And here is the flour. And that's it. That's all that it takes, guys. Really, really simple ingredients, but a lot of technique and a lot of attention to detail. And the last thing that we're going to need to do after all of this comes together is to let it rest. We need to let the dough fully hydrate. We need to let it soak up all of the butter. We need to make sure that it all comes together. Now, at this point, I do feel like my hands might be the easiest tool here. I am somewhat struggling with this, but I think it's because of the bowl itself. So I can go ahead and probably transfer the bowl over to this one and continue mixing it up this way. I hope I didn't add too much flour. It looks like a lot of flour, but we'll see. Ooh, my hands are getting tired from mixing so much. Guys, I have been out of the cooking game for too long. I have been out sick and I am annoyed. I am tired of it. I just want to cook. I just want to grill. And so my hands need a little bit of catching up. Okay. There you go. And let's get all of this mixed in one last time. Again, you just don't want to mix it past the point where it's still crumbly. You still want it to fall apart a little bit. You want it to look a little bit too wet. You do not want a dry, completely cohesive dough. At that point, you would have overdeveloped the gluten and the cookie would be too chewy in a way that is not entirely desirable. So just take it and mix it up and mix it up and break it apart and mix it up. And we're almost done with it, guys. Ooh, ooh, ooh. My hands are exhausted. I have been mixing and working this dough for a little bit. Ah. Ooh. This is why a stand mixer is pretty ideal for something like this, quite frankly. I don't think my hands necessarily do the best job. But, everybody, I do believe that we have a fully completed cookie dough that is now all ready to go, that is ready to be rested, that is ready to be just tossed into the fridge until we are ready to use it. Let's have a little taste. Tastes great. And this is a very easy cookie dough to eat too much of, by the way. So please be careful when making this at home. You can very, very easily end up eating many, many spoonfuls of what is effectively pure sugar. Okay, so that's done. I'm just gonna go ahead and get all that dough out of here. I'm gonna wrap it up in plastic and I'm gonna go ahead and leave it to just rest, my friends. So there you go. Out it comes, out it comes, out it comes. All right, probably throw that into the sink at this point. Get all the dough in there, get all the dough packed up, pack it up, pack it up, pack it up. Okay, and now we can go ahead and wrap it up. So everybody, all that we did so far, we completed the cookie dough for my cookies today. We mixed in some flour, some baking soda, a bunch of butter, some egg, and of course chopped in dark chocolate, as well as some salt. Now I'm covering it up with plastic to make sure that the dough does not dry out in the fridge, and we're letting it rest. Guys, do not bake it immediately. You need to let almost all cookie doughs and almost all batters rest a little bit to allow the moisture to be soaked up by the flour. I'm gonna go ahead and throw that into the fridge. I'm gonna clean up, I'm gonna get rid of a couple of things, and then we can go ahead and proceed with everything else we need for today. So get that into the fridge, get that out of here, get that out of sight and out of mind. Excellent. That's gone, that's out of here. We're not gonna need my sugar anymore. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean up everybody because remember, when you cook at home, you absolutely must clean as you go. Okay, so that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm cleaning as I go. I'm getting rid of all the different ingredients that I will not need later today. Wherever this guy went, I believe up here. Excellent. I'm gonna go ahead and wash up a couple of other things, and then we can proceed with the rest of the dish today. You could just not bake it and eat it like that. Food safety is overrated. That's true. And in fact, the real issue is not the raw eggs. The raw eggs is not the biggest culprit for what's unsafe to eat. It's actually the flour. Because most eggs that you end up buying, at least in American grocery stores, are pasteurized. They're heated up until a certain point to be able to kill off some pathogens. Now the flour, on the other hand, flour has been historically, at least more so in recent time, they keep having salmonella exposure to the flour itself. So, if you wanted to eat a cookie dough that is absolutely safe to eat as it is, the goal would be to toast the flour, okay, and then maybe pasteurize the eggs. Pasteurize the eggs, toast the flour, and you can make a completely edible raw cookie dough that is fully safe to eat. So, it's both the eggs that is a bit of a concern as well as the flour. Okay, we no longer need this baking soda either. So everybody, once again, please forgive me. I'm gonna just get rid of a few things and make some space for us to proceed with everything else we need to do today. So that'll take a moment. Remember, cleaning as you go, super, super important. Sous vide pasteurization for the win. That's right, Serena. Using a sous vide machine is a very nice way of pasteurizing, well, technically anything, but especially eggs. Eggs, you just heat it up to a certain point, you keep them there for a little bit, and then it'll be perfect. Okay, I just don't know the exact temperatures. I've never home pasteurized my own eggs or anything. Okay, I'm gonna add some more water in here. Just get that going. Lovely. Ugh. Okie dokie. So everybody, once again, what are we doing today and what have we already gotten done? We're gonna make some cookies and we're gonna make some baked pasta, excuse me. So at the moment, we have the cookie dough resting. The cookie dough has been fully completed. We have to blanch the spinach. We have to make our own spinach sauce. We're going to make a bechamel. We have to shred up the cheese. We have to saute the mushrooms, and then all of it is gonna be combined with the pasta and baked together beautifully. It's gonna be bubbly, it's gonna be cheesy, it's gonna be full of Parmesan and mozzarella, and it is going to be incredibly, incredibly delicious. I just have a few more dishes that I want to go ahead and clean up and get rid of before we proceed with the rest of, the work that we need to get done for today. So please give me a moment as I go ahead and do so. And once again, everybody, if you have any cooking questions whatsoever, it can be about this dish, it can be about something else, please feel free to ask me. Just going to wash off this bowl. We're still going to make use of it today. Oh no, I'm late? That's okay, Allie. Welcome on in, it's lovely to have you. Hope you're having an excellent day today. Just washing up this bowl, getting it all ready to go. And then, my friends, we're going to process the spinach, and we'll talk about the spinach, and we'll talk about why I'm cooking with spinach today, and what I would like for it to achieve for us. Okay. Okay, excellent. So, everybody, welcome on in. It is now time for us to begin talking about the pasta. So, we have this entire bushel of spinach that I wanted to shove into my baked pasta today. One of my favorite things to do with this much spinach is to basically do a spinach cream sauce. Well, in my case, we're going to be doing a bechamel spinach sauce. Spinach blanches up beautifully. It loses a lot of its volume really, really quickly. It stains everything nice and green, and I love being able to pack in as much spinach as possible into something. So, I would avoid the pre-washed boxes of baby spinach. They tend to be a little bit more expensive, and they tend to be rotting inside of the box itself. I want to show you guys a really nice way to use up as much spinach as possible, because I love cooking with spinach. I find it delicious, and also it is incredibly good for you. So, we're going to do a little technique today, my friends, called blanching. And blanching is the process of taking basically anything, submerging it into hot water, and then you typically what is called shocking it in cool water. In this case, we're going to be quickly blanching the spinach. I have some ice cubes that I'm trying to get out of this tray, but at the moment, my issue is they're all kind of glued in. So we're going to take the spinach, we're going to submerge it into some boiling water, and then we're going to quickly take it out. And by doing so, we get to shrink the spinach down instead of cooking it or sauteing it in something else. I find that oftentimes people say, oh, I'm going to saute spinach. They add in a big handful, it takes up a lot of space, and it ends up just boiling in its own liquid. So a very nice way of efficiently and quickly processing a bunch of spinach at once is to do something like this. So, taking it and just getting as many ice cubes out as possible, but they've all frozen into one big solid. Somebody help me. This is all one solid piece of ice, and it's not coming apart anytime soon. So I'm doing it live and on camera instead of preparing it in advance like I should have, but that's on me. Ugh. Come on, buddy. Out you go. We need that ice bath, guys. We need that ice bath. We need to be ready to go through the spinach today. So please help me, God. It's still not going. It's still not coming out. I think that'll work. I think that'll be just fine now. Perfect. So, oh, and the ice is also sticking to my fingers at the same time. That is not at all pleasant. Okay, I think that'll be fine. I think for my purposes today, that is going to be more than enough ice. So everybody, once again, what do we have here? What do we have happening? What do we have ready to go? All that we have going on, and I just stepped in some cool water into a cool ice cube. Not pleasant. I might have to change my socks as a result. So we have an ice bath ready to go. The goal is to blanch the spinach. The goal is to get it to all quickly shrink down, but we don't want to overcook it. If you overcook the spinach, it loses a lot of the nutrition, it loses a lot of its flavor, it loses a lot of color into the water. We don't want to end up with a spinach tea. We want to, as quickly as possible, take the spinach, blanch it inside of the boiling water, and then shock it in the cool water. All that I have here, my friends, ready to go, is some boiling water. Let me just make sure that the camera is nice and focused on it properly. And that it is excellent. And so, my friends, all that we need is going to be a nice way to be able to scoop it out. I'm going to be using this pasta tool, this pasta strainer thingy, but ideally you would use something called the spider. So, all that we do, nice big handful of spinach, and you don't want to cook it for more than 10 to 15 seconds, everybody. 10 to 15 seconds at maximum. Past 10 to 15 seconds, the spinach, instead of just shrinking down, it'll lose all of its flavor inside of the boiling water. So can I please get another yes, chef, from everybody watching, please, and thank you. So in it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, and out you go as fast as possible, my friends, as fast as possible into the ice bath, as fast as possible. You don't want to overcook the spinach. You want to agitate it as soon as it hits the ice bath, because again, you do not want your beautiful fresh green spinach to overcook and turn into mush. So 10 to 15 seconds at absolute maximum. Another big handful of spinach, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and now we're taking it out. Get as much of that hot water out as possible, my friends, and get that spinach out of here. Get them out and get them into a nice cool ice bath and agitate it, because the spinach, it basically mops up all of that boiling water alongside it. The boiling water seems to have lost a lot of temperature. We're going to bring it back on up to a boil, and so if anybody has any questions, once again, now would be an excellent time to ask me. So get that bad boy back on up to a boil. Get him up there, get him happening, get him doing his thing. Excellent. I'm also just washing up a knife while I have a moment. And we're almost done, everybody. We just have a few more leaves of spinach to go. Right? We want to do this in batches, because if you do too much of it at once, you can't pull it out by the time it overcooks. Okay? So small batches is key for something like this. So we're going to do this in 2 more batches. In it goes, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and out she goes. as fast as possible, my friends, as fast as possible. Take it out, take it out, take it out. You don't want it to lose and leach all of its flavor into the water. Beautiful. And now, my friends, one last batch of spinach going in. One last one. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and there it's all out. Beautiful. That's it. That's all that we needed to do, guys. We had to blanch the spinach. We had to take it out of the boiling water. We're agitating it inside of the cold water to make sure that it's not taking in any more hot water. Okay, and that's all that we needed to do to process and blanch the spinach beautifully. Now that it's all shrunken down, we'll be able to blend it up easily. It's gonna easily go into the final bechamel, and just like that. No need to worry about sauteing it. No need to worry about shrinking it down or anything. Okay, that is the beauty of blanching down whole spinach just like this. Next, we're going to need some more boiling water, and we're going to need that boiling water for the pasta, my friends. Because what we're going to do is we're going to essentially soak it in some hot water to give it a bit of a pre-cook. Instead of pre-boiling the pasta, which requires a lot of babysitting, which requires a lot of attention, right? We can just let it soak in some hot water instead, and it'll have the same effect. It'll soak up some of the excess water. It'll give it a bit of a pre-cook so it doesn't soak up all of the sauce, but we don't have to drain it out or anything. It's gonna be much, much easier this way. So, just double checking if that's gonna be boiling water, hot water, for this method, for this technique. Yeah, I think we're actually only going to really need hot water. We might not even necessarily need boiling water. So I think hot water from my tap is going to be plenty in this case. The only thing that we really need to do, my friends, is just soak the pasta in all the hot water, and it's going to give it the opportunity to soak up some of the moisture so it doesn't soak up all of the moisture from the sauce. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that now. I'm going to use this pot probably, just for the ease of access, to use as few dishes as possible. Dump that out really quickly. Gonna go get some hot water going for that in just a second. And so, I guess we could go ahead and also talk about some of the pasta choices that you could use for a dish like this, my friends. Okay, so I have here some campanelli. You could use any kind of short pasta for something like a baked pasta. You want to do something that is short and ideally something that has a hole in it. You can do something like a ziti. You could do something like a rigatoni. You could even do something like a penne. You just want to abstain from things like spaghetti, things like tagliatelle, because they're long and they don't cling onto the sauce nearly as well. I'm just trying to go ahead and get some nice hot water coming out of my tap, please. And thank you. That would be very nice of you if you could do that for me. And then I'll also wash off my whisk while I have a moment. Okay, excellent. So, oh, I did not want to shut off that tap. My tap takes a little bit of time for it to go ahead and get as hot as I need it to. And so I'm just letting that run. I'm letting that go. I'm letting that do its thing for a second. Is that hot enough? I just want nice hot water coming out of my tap. It seems to be nice and hot. It seems to be ready to go. I picked up a hot pan with my hands and I might have just burnt the hell out of my fingers as a result, but that is totally okay. So, I'm gonna grab it with a towel this time because this saucepan is still pretty warm from the stove. And so, I'm going to grab, we're gonna do about 3/4 of a pound of pasta for today. What's the sugar that looks dope? Is it a band? It is. This is a band called Cat Bamboo. I gotta see them live. I'm not usually into like math rock or punk or that kind of stuff, but this is indeed a band. So, everybody, I'm not going in with super exact measurements for today. I'm doing about 3/4 of a pound of pasta or so 3/4 of this box, okay? And I'm going to now go ahead and fill this up with some nice hot water. Yeah, I think that's roughly 3/4 of a pound. I think that'll be good for my uses today. And just filling it up, everybody, with some nice hot, super, super hot tap water. And all that we're doing is we're giving the pasta a bit of a pre-soak. You can do this method instead of boiling the pasta outright. By doing this method, it's a lot easier, it saves on a lot more time. We're making use out of an existing dish because the cooked pasta, after it's already been boiled, has a tendency to stick to itself. By simply soaking this in some nice hot water, okay, we make it a lot easier on ourselves. We don't have to boil it, we don't have to do anything crazy like that. Just some nice hot tap water and give it a mix. And you want to regularly mix this for the next few minutes, because if you leave it to sit by itself, the pasta can and will stick to each other. Okay, so you asked me, is good butter more important for baked goods or for bechamels? So that's a really good question. My answer is, a good butter, parentheses a high fat butter, it's more important for baked goods. For something like a bechamel, honestly, because of how much milk there is, I don't feel like you get to taste much of the flavor of the butter itself by the end of it. So, I think I'm just going to say, yeah, definitively, if it had to be one or the other, then I'm going to say it's more important for baked goods. Everybody, salt the pasta water, salt the water, salt the water. Not all of it is going to end up penetrating the pasta itself, but a good amount of it will. This is how you ensure that both the pasta and the salt is seasoned. You have to season the water as well. So give it a stir, make sure that nothing is sticking to each other, and you want to make sure that the pot is flooded. Again, this is off the heat. This isn't boiling it. All that we're doing is we're soaking the pasta, my friends. We're soaking it, and it's going to come out great, and it's going to come out delicious, and it's going to come out lovely. Okay? My mom puts some onion in the pasta water when she boils it. Is that just a Mexican thing? It might be. I don't know anybody that puts in some onion to boil it inside of the pasta water explicitly. I feel like you wouldn't get that much out of it, especially if it's going into a sauce afterwards, but I've never done it before. Just pasta does not tend to really soak up the flavor of a very, very loose liquid it boils in, or even like a broth in my experience. Okay, so there you go, my friends. It's soaking, it's all coming together, okay, and it's gonna come out nice and delicious. So far, we've made the cookie dough, we've blanched the spinach, and we're now currently soaking the pasta. What do we have left? Well, we have two more steps left. We have to do the mushrooms, as well as we need to do the actual bechamel itself. We have to do the sauce. And then we're gonna combine it. We're gonna blend the spinach with the bechamel. We're gonna make this beautiful, vibrant green sauce. We're going to go ahead and add in some fresh green peas. We're going to add in the pasta, my friends. We're going to add in some mozzarella cheese, as well as some Parmesan, and it's all gonna be mixed in, and it's all gonna be delicious. Okay, so in the meantime, really quickly, I'm going to take my mozzarella cheese and I'm going to put it into the freezer. The reason why I'm freezing the mozzarella is because the mozzarella as it is way too soft. If you were to try and grate the mozzarella as it is, you're going to end up with a bunch of clumps of mozzarella instead of beautiful shreds. This is something that you can apply to any soft cheese. Feta, mozzarella, etc. It's really, really nice to freeze it before grating it or before chopping it. Okay? It'll really, really save your life. Next, let's go ahead and do some of the mushroom prep in the meantime. So everybody, I have some chocolate left over on my cutting board that I should probably find a nice way to wipe off. Please, out you go. Thank you. It seems to be somewhat imbued into the very grain of the cutting board itself. I don't think it's going to be that much of an issue if a little chocolate gets in. A little bit. A non-offensive amount of it. Okay? So out it comes. Next, let's talk about the mushrooms. Everybody, I have, well, first I'm going to stir up my pasta, again, in the interest of stopping it from sticking to each other. Stir it up, mix it up, mix it up. Excellent. I have these beautiful little white button mushrooms. Now, you could use, theoretically for this, any kind of mushroom that you would like. You could do shiitakes, you could do oysters, you could do more morel mushrooms, you can use porcinis, you can use anything that you have. In my case, I just wanted something cheap, something accessible, because it's going to be imbued, it's going to be covered up in a very rich cream sauce. So, plain old white button mushrooms, and everybody prepping them is super simple, it's super easy. I have my mushrooms, I have them ready to go. The only thing that we really need to do to them is to cut off the dried off part of the stem on the bottom. So just going in there, giving that bad boy a little trim, trimming that off, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut this into quarters. By the time that this cooks, you want to make sure that it is roughly the same size as the pasta. You don't want chunks of mushroom that are too big. So, go in there, trim off the bottom part of the stem, the really dry part of the stem, because it can be a little bit too toothsome. And just cut this up into quarters. cut into quarters, beautiful. Next, take it and cut into quarters. And also, everybody, at the end of the day, it is a mushroom. It's okay to wash your mushrooms with water. A lot of classical French methodology says that you must never do so. But washing in water is a very nice, thorough way to get rid of a lot of the dirt that is stuck on it, okay? You don't have to waste your time brushing it. Just wash it. We're going to be doing the wet mushroom cooking method anyways. So, take it, and take it, and take it, and cut it up into some nice little quarters. Cut off that bottom stem. And you could save, theoretically, the mushroom stem scraps and use it for a stock later on, but I don't have that cycle built up yet. So I'm going to abstain from doing so. Cut off a little too much off the bottom, but that's okay. Cut it up into some nice quarters. Cut it up. Excellent. Just like so. And then there we go. This will be the last mushroom that we need for today's pasta. My mushrooms are all ready to go. They're all ready to be cooked. Next, I have a couple of other ingredients that will be going into the pasta today. I have some garlic that's going to go both into the mushrooms and then into the bechamel as well, because I want that flavor, I want that garlic flavor to be pronounced and pungent in absolutely everything that we do. And then I also have some serrano chilies. Now, serranos, not particularly traditional in Italian food, but I wanted some extra heat, I wanted some extra spice, and I wanted it to go into the pasta. So all I'm going to go ahead and do, my friends, is I'm going to get nice, thin slices of my serrano chili. And it's going to be spread out throughout the pasta, and it's going to come out nice and delicious. So taking it and slicing it up and slicing it up, it's going to provide us an extra element of flavor. And that's right, Annie, we will be featuring the garlic press really, really shortly. I can promise you that much. So, serrano. I think I'm going to be slicing up both of my serranos. I'm looking for a pretty spicy pasta today. Okay. So getting them out of here, getting them all processed, getting them all ready to go. Nice thin slices, my friends. Thin, all the way through. And then we'll saute the mushrooms, we'll make the bechamel, we'll shred up the cheese, and then we'll be all set to combine it all and bake it off. Slice it up, slice it up, slice it up, my friends. Nice thin little discs, because I'm not looking to bite into a massive chunk of serrano. I would like for this to be evenly distributed throughout the pasta. So there you go. All of it nicely and beautifully thinly sliced up. My bench scraper still has a little bit of chocolate left over on it, so I'm making sure to get rid of that. Okay, excellent. And we'll get the serranos onto the plate. Ooh, guys, I desperately need a haircut. My hair is absolutely all over the place. So, serranos onto the plate. Next, we're gonna get some garlic. And once again, my friends, I want the garlic flavor to be pronounced in the mushrooms, and I would want my garlic flavor to be pronounced in the bechamel. I want a lot of garlic. It's going to be this rich, thick, creamy sauce. And so, I don't want it to just completely drown everything else out. So, peeling up a bunch of garlic, doing that over my waste bowl. We're going to do roughly maybe 5-6 cloves today. So getting that done, getting all that popped out, getting it popped out. Yeah, I think we're just gonna do all of this garlic. I think that's gonna be good for my uses today. I'm gonna tie up my hair really quickly. And so, as always, everybody, the best way to peel garlic, you want a nice flat surface, something like a bench scraper. Take it and flatten it. And then that is going to separate the flesh from the rest of the skin. Take it and flatten it. Take it and flatten it. I love doing baked pastas in a home setting. To me, they're really easy to pull off. They're very nice and celebratory. They heat up also exceptionally well. Baked pastas are ideal in a home environment, my friends. So take it and flatten up all the garlic. And now that it's been officially flattened, now that we've crushed it all, we can go ahead and just pop it out of the skins. Out it comes in nice one shot. But yeah, that's right, Annie. We're gonna get that garlic press in just a little bit of time. Come on, out you go. Thank you very much. Some of them are being a little bit more stubborn than others today. There you go. Excellent. And just a few more, and then we'll be all set. Okay. And almost done, almost done. Oh, this process can be so annoying sometimes. There you go. Excellent. Now, let's go ahead and get all of these garlic scraps. Let's get all of this garlic peel and all this garlic skin off of my cutting board and into my waste bowl. So grab that. Out it goes. Excellent. Off it goes. Last, my friends, let's go ahead and cut the butts off of each of my garlic cloves. Cut them off. We don't want these dried out butts. We don't want anything to do with them. Get them out of here, get them out of sight, and get them out of mind. So this is the obscene amount of garlic that we'll be using today. And I think that's going to be more than enough. And I'm going to go ahead and grab a cute little condiment bowl. Everybody, if you don't own a cute little condiment bowl, you're absolutely making a mistake. This is maybe one of my favorite kitchen tools of all time. Okay, gonna grab my garlic press. And first, actually, before we continue, I want to mix up my pasta. Make sure it's not sticking to each other. Make sure it's not sticking to itself. Excellent. And we just got to press it down. Press it down, squish it. And as you know, everybody, I hate chopping garlic by hand. Chopping garlic by hand, especially mincing it. It's sticky. It gets all over the place. It becomes such a headache. It becomes such a chore. Please, please, please invest in a garlic press. So just going to take it, going to press it all out, going to process it all. In it goes. Excellent. Just a few more cloves, and then we'll be all set for today. Take it, press it, press it, press it, press it, press it. I mix that press and process in my mind, pop it all out, and that should be all nice and set for today. Excellent. Chef, thoughts on garlic/ginger graters? So, Zlo, you're talking about a microplane, and my answer for you is the following. I love microplanes for something like cheese. For garlic and ginger, I use it occasionally if I already have it out. But I do find them to be a little bit more laborious. It does take up a little bit more time than using something like a press. So, the answer is, they do the job just fine, they're just not as efficient. Okay? So, getting all of the garlic off and into my little condiment bowl. This is all the garlic that's going to be going into the dish today. And everybody, as always, the best time to clean something like a garlic press is yesterday. Clean it now before the holes dry up full of all that garlic. Clean it now, poke it with a brush, get it out of here, and throw it into the dishwasher, out of sight and out of mind. Pop it out, get them out of here, get them all cleaned up. There we go. That seems to be the majority of the garlic. Nice and cleaned up. And I'll throw that into my dishwasher. Okay, everybody, so once again for today, we don't actually need that much prep to get done. It also is a beautiful knife. Thank you for knowing. Thank you for expressing that, rather. So, going into my pasta today, I have all of these lovely Serrano chilies because I want that heat, I want that spice. I have a bunch of garlic. It's going to go both into the mushrooms as well as into the bechamel itself. Then everybody, we have my white button mushrooms that I chopped up. Once again, you could theoretically use any combination of oyster mushrooms, chanterelles, shiitakes, anything that you have available to you. But in my case today, I just have some plain old white button mushrooms. Okay, we have some pasta soaking. The two things that we have left to do, or the three things, we have to saute the mushrooms, we have to make the bechamel itself, we have to blend the spinach, and we also have to shred the cheese. Combine it all together, my friends, and then let it bake, and it's gonna be beautiful and bubbly and crispy and delicious. So, we're going to go ahead and begin with what I like to call, or what I guess everybody now calls, the wet mushroom cooking method. We're going to do the wet mushroom cooking method. We're going to start these out in some water, and we'll talk about why we're doing so in just a second. Okay, so getting my pasta strained and moved aside. Excellent. Going to get a nice little non-stick pan. Honestly, any kind of pan would be just fine here. And we'll go ahead and get my mushrooms into the pan. So, I need to hear a nice yes, chef, from everybody watching, please, and thank you. Because right now, I need you all to listen. This is the wet mushroom cooking method, which is, we don't start it off on a saute. We don't immediately start it off by trying to brown and char and sear the mushrooms. We start the mushrooms off in a little bit of water, and let me explain to you why. This has to do with the very structure of the mushroom itself. How many times have you tried to saute mushrooms by taking them and putting them into some hot fat? They sizzle for just a few seconds, but then, seemingly, it begins to boil, and then after it boils, the pan becomes completely dry. It's because the mushrooms are super saturated with liquid. They're like wet sponges. When you cook them, they first release their water as the mushrooms collapse, and then they soak up everything that is left around them, indiscriminate of whether or not it is fat or water. By starting them off in water instead of oil, what ends up happening is we allow ourselves to collapse the mushroom, we collapse the texture of the mushroom, okay, and then we evaporate all of the liquid, and only then, when the mushroom is saturated with as much liquid as it needs, do we add in some fat. In this case, it's going to be some olive oil. Okay, really, really important. You don't want to miss out on this step, guys. That is how we get beautifully browned, beautifully sauteed mushrooms. I don't just want some boiled mushrooms. I want them to be sauteed. I want them to be flavorful. I want them to be delicious. And I want to be able to bite into them and feel how meaty the chunk is throughout the rest of the pasta today. Okay? So that's why we're giving it such care. That is why we're giving these mushrooms so much love. Again, the wet mushroom cooking method, we started out in some water. So, Florian, you say you're not supposed to wash mushrooms because they soak up the water though. How is this different? The answer is, kind of it soaks up water, but the reality is the mushroom will still release a bunch of water as it cooks anyways. Traditional sauteing methods don't really apply to most varieties of mushrooms because they end up cooking in their own liquid anyways. They do soak up a little bit of water, as do all vegetables, but they soak up a little bit of water if you wash them in it. But that's okay because they'll still release that water as they cook. So ultimately, all I'm trying to say is it's okay for the mushrooms to soak up some amount of water in the washing process because it'll still get released, it'll still get evaporated, it'll still be delicious. Okay, so this traditional saying of you're not supposed to wash mushrooms under running water, it's kind of untrue. It's kind of a thing that French people would just say, right? So that's doing its thing. In the meantime, what else can we focus on? Well, I think we can begin focusing on the cheese. We can also begin measuring out some of the amount of butter and flour that we need for the bechamel today. I'll walk you through how to do the bechamel. We can also begin preheating our oven. So everybody, we have our work cut out for us at the moment. That's going. I'm gonna grab a nice little cheese grater. And we can begin by processing my, how do you say it? My Parmesan and my mozzarella. My mozzarella is currently sitting inside of the freezer because I would like for that to get as firm as possible. The Parmesan is sitting in the fridge at the moment. So everybody, we're going to begin processing it. We're going to get it nice and shredded down and it's gonna come out and be delicious. Some of the Parmesan is going to go directly inside of the bechamel. That's how you go from a bechamel to a bechamella, as is often used in Italian cooking. Okay, and so let's go ahead and get started. I have some Parmesan. Everybody, once again, this is not Parmigiano Reggiano. This is plain old American Parmesan. The only kind of Parmesan that I would say to completely abstain from is the pre-grated, green can Parmesan. But American Parmesan, the only difference is that it's a lot less dry aged. Well, not dry aged, it's a lot less aged. It's a lot less intense, it's less salty than Parmigiano Reggiano, but that's okay because we could just use more of it. American Parmesan is not necessarily worse than Italian Parmigiano Reggiano, but it is a different product. Just consider it as a different product, my friends. Okay, and that's totally okay. That is totally all right. So, Parmesan, plate, cheese grater. We want to go on the finest setting for the Parmesan so that it melts in nice and easily. I'm going to put on a glove and we're going to begin grating it up. And that's all. That's all that we got to do with it, my friends. Now, how much Parmesan am I using? I have no idea because it does not matter. Everybody, this is a baked pasta. You are free to use as much or as little of some ingredients as you would like. The only thing we need to keep in mind is about a cup of sauce per quarter pound of pasta. Okay? So, Parmesan, take it and shred it up. Shred it up. Shred it up. We want to get all these lovely shreds of Parmesan, my friends. Shred it up, shred it up, shred it up. Get it done, get it going. And then once again, some of this is going to go into the sauce. Some of this is going to get layered into the pasta itself, and it's all going to come out nice and delicious. So, shred it up, shred it up, shred it up. I think that looks pretty good at the moment. I think this will be a sufficient amount. Well, we could always do a little bit more. So shred it up, shred it up. I probably should have adjusted the camera a little bit to accommodate for this new angle that I have. There we go. I think that's a little better now, so that you guys can actually see the mushrooms cook in real time. Okay, excellent. Now, I think that's a sufficient amount of Parmesan. I can move that aside, and I can go ahead and get this bad boy nice and wrapped up and throw him back into the fridge. Get him out of here, get him out of sight, get him out of mind. We're all done with Mr. Parmesan for the moment. In the meantime, we can also go ahead and quickly check in and see how the mushrooms are doing. Remember, everybody, we are doing the wet mushroom cooking method. In order to get a big, beautiful golden brown saute on these, we start them off in some nice cold water, because the goal is to collapse the texture of the mushrooms. The mushrooms are going to collapse. They're going to release a bunch of their own liquid, and then they're going to soak up some of the excess liquid inside of the pot. Okay, so get them in there, just move them around a little bit. Okay, you can still see they're submerged, they're full of liquid. All right, cool. Well, mushrooms are still going. It's okay. Vixen, I hope you're all right. You can be on camera, that's fine. I hope you're okay. That was my roommate in a living room, kind of. So, please forget that for a second. I don't think anybody noticed. I think we're fine. That was not audible at all, right? Nobody heard anything. Great. We're so back then. We're back in business. Okay. Mushrooms beginning to properly boil up now. And again, everybody, just trust the process. Trust the process of the wet mushroom cooking method. You're going to see how delicious and how golden and how beautifully sauteed they become. They just need a little bit of love. They need a little bit of attention. Give them that time. Give them that love. Chef, or chat, did Chef start the cookies yet? Taza, we sure did. We made the dough, and we have the dough currently resting and sitting inside of the fridge at the moment. And until then, it's just going to be chilling and hanging out for us. My pasta has soaked up beautifully, so it has fully hydrated itself. And everybody, the reason why that you give pasta a pre-soak, the reason why you give it a bit of a pre-boil is because if you bake the raw pasta, it would soak up all of the liquid of the sauce. So, by ensuring that we soak it in some nice hot water beforehand, we soak up the plain water so it doesn't make our sauce too dry. Okay? Now, I believe this would be a good time for us to preheat the oven. We're going to preheat it to about 400 degrees or so. Get that going, get that baking off. And then we're going to go ahead and we got to cube up the mozzarella still. We got to measure out the ingredients for the bechamel for the white sauce today. We got to get the peas out, okay? So we still have some work coming up ahead of us. Okay, I'm just going to move a few things, going to make a little bit of space. Okay, so let's go ahead and measure some ingredients out. That'll be our next step for today. So for today, my friends, the ratio that you want to shoot for something like a baked pasta, for something like a white sauce, you want to do 1.5 tablespoons of butter, 1.5 tablespoons of flour per cup of milk. If you want a thicker sauce, you would do more butter and flour, proportionate to one another. If you want a thinner, lighter sauce, you want to have less butter and flour. But in my case today, 1.5 tablespoons of butter and flour per cup of milk. I have a bowl. I had a bowl. I have a bowl again. Excellent. We're going to get 3 cups of milk out, measured and squared away. In fact, we could do a little bit less because we're going to need some milk to blend with the spinach, but right now I'm not too worried about that. Milk, cup, 3 of these bad boys. And again, normally, I'm not too much of a stickler when it comes to measuring things in a kitchen, but for something like a bechamel, it really, really, really helps to make sure that your ratios are nice and intact. So that's 2 cups. And that's 3 cups. And again, I'm doing a little less than 3 cups because some of the extra milk is going to come in from the blended spinach. So I can put the rest of this into the freezer, or into the fridge for now. Where is my butter? There it is, excellent. Next, we're going to need 4.5 tablespoons of butter to 4.5 tablespoons of flour. Everybody, it is a 1-to-1 ratio. You want 1-to-1 butter to flour for something like a bechamel, for something like a white sauce. If you've never heard of the term bechamel or white sauce, bechamels and white sauces, okay, that is the base of something like an American-style Alfredo. All that it is a thickened milk sauce, and it is seen everywhere in cooking. You see it all over French cuisine, you see it all over Italian cuisine. A gravy, right, fundamentally is fat plus flour plus broth. These are all of the same techniques that are universal and showcased just about everywhere. Okay, my mushrooms are going, looking excellent. Let's go get a couple of little condiment cups. Okay, and now we're going to go ahead and measure out some butter and flour. Now, I don't exactly have my butter with the markings on it of what a tablespoon is. So I'm gonna eyeball it. I'm gonna go completely by feel through this butter, and we'll figure it out. So that's gonna be roughly 1 tablespoon, that's roughly 2, that's roughly 3, that's 4.5. I'm going to say this amount of butter is 4.5 tablespoons. If this ends up being too much, well, we'll be fine. Because remember, everybody, it's a bechamel at the end of the day. It's a white sauce. These are ratios that you can slightly play with and it will still come out okay and it'll still come out delicious. So roughly 4.5 tablespoons of butter to 4.5 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. And so the goal is to bind the butter and the flour together to then dissolve into the milk. And that is how we build a beautiful, beautiful bechamel, my friends, a beautiful white sauce. Okay, my mushrooms, they're still going in the water, they're still cooking and they're still collapsing and they're still releasing all of their liquid inside. That's looking excellent, that's looking great. Let's get some flour measured out. Once again, everybody, roughly 4.5 tablespoons. Where's my tablespoon measure? Hello? That's a half tablespoon, I need a full tablespoon. Excuse me. One day, I will have organized tablespoons and teaspoons. Today is not that day at the moment, I'm afraid. All right, well, I only have a half tablespoon measure. So, it's going to be a lot of repetitive scooping in that case. If we only have self-rising flour, does that wreck a bechamel? Serena, honestly, I don't think it does, because you really are just looking for the starch from them. You are just looking for the starch from the flour. You don't really care about the amount of gluten that it has. So honestly, I have a feeling that it should be okay. So that's half a tablespoon. We got to keep track of it. That's 1 tablespoon now. That's 1.5. In total, we need 4.5. Okay, that's 2 tablespoons now in total. That's 3.5. Or wait, 2.5, 3. There you go. 3.5, 4, and then 4.5. There you go. 4.5 tablespoons of flour roughly. 3 cups of milk. 4.5 tablespoons of flour. 4.5 tablespoons of butter. And everybody, we can see the pan is becoming dry now. Why is the pan becoming dry? Because the mushrooms have collapsed. The mushrooms have soaked up some of the liquid back on in. So let me quickly put away this flour. And then we can look at the mushrooms once more. The pan is now officially becoming dry, my friends. And once the pan becomes dry, that is when we begin entering the sautéing stage. The mushrooms, they've released their liquid. The mushrooms have beautifully collapsed, okay? And now that the pan is dry, this would be the stage in the process where we would begin to add some fat. If we added the fat in sooner, what ends up happening is the mushrooms, they soak up all of the fat, they don't end up browning effectively, and they become really, really oily as they ended up soaking up all of the fat. You want the fat to be the lubricant, you don't want the fat to be soaked up by the mushrooms. Okay, so we've cooked out the water, we've cooked out the liquid, you can hear it beginning to sizzle once more. Now we're going to go in with a generous, generous amount of olive oil, my friends. Olive oil going in. And now we can begin officially entering the sautéing stage. The fat is now going to help us to beautifully brown up these mushrooms. It's going to come out delicious, and it's going to come out phenomenal. So that's going. We can hit it with a nice generous amount of salt, my friends. Begin to get these mushrooms nice and seasoned. and we can see that we have officially entered the sautéing stage. We don't just want bland boiled mushrooms. Can I please get a no, chef? Chat, do we want bland boiled mushrooms? This is where you would say no, chef. We want them to be nice and golden brown. We want them to be nice and meaty. We want them to be beautifully sautéed. So now we get to build up some color. Now that we've cooked out all of the excess liquid out of the mushrooms, my friends, this is the time to be able to build that color, okay? So a lot of moving parts, a lot of moving pieces at the moment simultaneously. We're still keeping our head above the water. We're still keeping ourselves afloat. Now let's go ahead and begin to cut up some cheese. Okay, I don't think we need to grate the mozzarella per se, but I think we just want to go ahead and cut it up into some beautiful little cubes. Okay, there you go. It's coming along, it's getting nice and golden. You can see the color is beginning to form on it now, my friends. It's gone through that long, slow cooking process, and now it is beginning to come into form. Now it is beginning to take some shape. Okay, so mozzarella. Gonna go ahead. It's an easy peel package, they say. Let's find out just how easy peel it is. Okay, it seems like it was easy peel enough. That was fine, actually. Excellent. Ooh, my mushrooms are getting nice and golden. You can hear them sauteing. You can smell them getting nice and brown at this point. Let's go ahead and show them all at once. There you go, my friends. That is what a beautifully sauteed mushroom is supposed to look like. So, we gotta go ahead and cut up this mozzarella now. We have an entire pound block of mozzarella. Chad, I have a question for you. Is that too much cheese? Is this an aggressive amount of cheese for the amount of food that I'm doing for today? Should I do this entire pound of mozzarella? More cheese? Taz, there will not be more cheese. This is more than enough cheese. There's never too much cheese? Okay. In the interest then of making sure that I use up all of the stuff that I have at home, I'm going to go ahead and slice this cheese as it is. We're sending it, my friends. We're full sending an entire pound of cheese. Okay, so I'm just cutting this into some nice thin strips. Thin strips. You want to go as thin as you go. We're not going to grate it, actually. We're just going to be cutting it up. You can see my mushrooms. Guys, they're getting beautiful. They're getting nice and brown. Look at these bad boys. Right? Sauteing beautifully. Even though we started them off in water, you can see how plump and how full they're looking. Right? They didn't burn. They didn't soak up any of the fat. They're now beautifully sauteing in all that olive oil. Again, it's not just mushrooms and straight oil, guys. We did the pre-cooking stage. We did the pre-cooking stage in the water. So, fine, an entire pound of mozzarella is going into today's baked pasta. If it ends up being too much mozzarella, I will not have myself to blame. I will only blame my chat. So I hope this helps. So thin slices, guys. Thin slices. Thin slices. Thin slices, thin slices, just like so. Excellent. Thin slices, thin slices, thin slices, thin slices. Get it done, get it processed. All right, going back to the mushrooms, turning them once more. They're getting that color all the way around them. They're getting nice and plump. They're getting nice and golden at this stage. Stirring them often. We're on a medium-high heat at this point. I just dropped some mozzarella onto the floor because it would not be a dull cooking show without me making too much of a mess all over the place. So slice it, and 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 slice it, guys. And we want it to be really, really nice and thin. Okay, super important. And it's okay if it's in irregular pieces. That is also going to really contribute to having a nice heterogeneous baked pasta. All right, so take it and shred it, and shred it up, and shred it up, and shred it up, and shred it up. Nice and thin, nice and thin. The only thing is you just don't want thick mounds of cheese. It becomes like rubber inside of the final baked pasta. Okay? I love mozzarella. My oven is preheated. My mushrooms are beautifully sauteing still. They're getting nice and dark brown. Excellent. Okay, only thing I'm going to do, I'm going to grab a few of them and just make sure I'm cutting them into even smaller pieces. But again, guys, this does not have to be perfect. You want it to be really, really nice and heterogeneous. You want the texture of it to be somewhat all over the place when it all bakes up. okay? So that's why we're being so messy about this. We're being intentionally messy about this. This isn't just me being lazy, even though it's a little bit of that. This helps us to ensure that we have these beautiful pockets of cheese, irregular and spread out throughout everything else. Going back in here, giving that a little toss, mixing it up, excellent. And now I'm gonna go ahead and pile this bad boy onto the plate. Does anybody have any questions for me at this point in time? Get all that cheese out, we're cheesing it, we're gonna get out of here. Well, it's good to be back, guys. I have not been able to do a cooking stream in a good amount of time. Next up is going to be for me to get a haircut, finally, because I am way overdue for one. Is my roommate okay? Oh yes, yes, my roommate is more than okay. Faye just ended up dropping something on the ground very, very loudly. So Faye is more than fine. Okay. Thank you for asking though, it's very nice of you. Everybody, look at my mushrooms. Look how delicious my mushrooms look at this point in time. Look how golden they are. Look how delicious they look. We got them nice and beautifully browned. And now the last step for these mushrooms is going to be hit them with some black pepper and hit it with some garlic, because I don't want the mushrooms to be bland. I want to eat my baked pasta and then bite into that mushroom and for it to explode with flavor for us. So black pepper goes inside, a good generous amount of it at that. Okay, and then some of the garlic goes in. Some of the garlic will go into the sauce so that we have garlic in two places at once. So garlic goes in for a really, really nice, beautiful, garlicky, sauteed mushroom. And mix in the garlic, mix in the black pepper, guys. And this is all gonna get mixed into the pasta. And this is still before anything got assembled, my friends. We're still not done with the most difficult part. The most technical part is going to be for us to make the bechamel. But we got rid of quite a few different things that we needed to get done. So the garlic, again, we added towards the end because if we added in the beginning, the garlic would have ended up burning. The mushrooms got nicely and beautifully sauteed at this stage, so we can go ahead and take them off the heat. Still mix them a little bit longer to make sure the garlic does not stick and burn at the bottom of the pot. I'm just going back in and also just mixing around my pasta one more time, making sure that he's doing okay, and I think he is. He's just getting quite soft as he soaks in the water, but it's still not fully cooked or anything. Again, all that we did was just soak the pasta in the hot water, my friends. Okay, out of sight, out of mind, mushrooms are completed. Last step before we assemble everything, guys, is to make the bechamel. So I'm grabbing another sauce pot, I'm getting it on to the stove, and we're going to put it on for like a nice medium-low heat or so. So, I'm going to be walking you through one of the most important culinary techniques, which is how to make a white sauce. The techniques that I'm going to show you here are universal and used in so many different cuisines. So I need to make sure that everybody's watching. I need to hear another yes, chef, because for this I'm going to need your full attention. A bechamel is just a fancy word for a white sauce. And all that a white sauce is, at its core, is fat, flour, and milk. The techniques that I'm going to show you here are applicable to gravies. They're applicable all over Cajun Creole cooking and how you would build a roux. A roux, R-O-U-X, is fat plus flour. So we have some fat. We have some fat right here, my friends. Okay, that's 4.5 tablespoons of butter going in. And the goal isn't particularly to brown the butter. We don't need to get a lot of flavor out of the butter. We just want to go ahead and get it nice and melted. So we add the butter in. Then we toast the flour inside of the butter. Then we gradually add in the milk. All the people that say, oh, cold milk equals grainy bechamel, absolute nonsense. The key to a perfectly smooth bechamel every single time is to incrementally add your milk. I'm going to say it again. The key, the trick, the secret to a highly coveted, perfectly cooked bechamel, my friends, is to slowly add the milk. Because if you add all of the milk all at once, you're going to end up with the starch seizing up immediately, and you're going to get a bunch of little tiny clumps of flour amongst your bechamel. So, melting down the butter, and once it's all melted, we add in the flour, and then we toast the flour. Okay? So letting it go, letting it do its thing. Letting it all melt down, my friends. And then we're going to begin making the bechamel. So far, what have we achieved? Well, we made the sauteed mushrooms, we blanched the spinach. The spinach needs to be blended into the bechamel afterwards. We've soaked the pasta. We have just about every single component for this baked pasta ready to go. We've cut up the mozzarella, we've shredded up the parmesan, and now that the butter is all melted, same amount volumetrically, 4.5 tablespoons of butter to 4.5 tablespoons of flour. Add it, and now, my friends, this is where you begin aggressively whisking. You want to defeat any clumps of butter that appear, any clumps of butter and flour that is inside of the saucepan. So you want to whisk it up. You want to whisk it up all smooth. You want to whisk it up, whisk it up, whisk it up. You want to keep whisking it, and the whole time, my friends, we're over a medium heat or so. You want to go all the way around. You want to make sure that none of the butter is sticking. You want to make sure that none of the flour is sticking to the bottom of the pot, because if any of it is sticking, it's going to end up burning. So whisk out all of the lumps. Whisk them out, whisk them out, whisk them out. Get them out of here. Get them out of sight, get them out of mind. Right? Whisk them all out, my friends. Get into the edges, get into the crevices of your pan, get into the corners, and keep whisking. At this stage, you do not want to stop whisking, because if you stop whisking, you will end up scorching your roux. If you burn that flour, my friends, it is over. You don't have to worry about toasting it. You just want to cook out and get it nice and dissolved inside of the fat at this stage. This is the stage where the flour cooks the fastest, when it is directly exposed to the butter itself, okay? So keep it going. Keep it whisking, keep it whisking. I can probably slightly lower my heat here. Keep it all whisking. There you go, it's getting nice and golden, nice and beautiful. I'm gonna go ahead and get my milk. I should have probably put that into a different container, but I think for now, that's gonna be more than okay. Get back to whisking, get back to whisking. Whisk it all up. And so we will begin. Again, the key to this, my friends, is to slowly ladle the milk in. Because if you do it too quickly, if you add it all at once, the flour is going to seize into these little granules, and then it's going to just go ahead and turn into these lumps that you'll never get undone. So, little bit of milk goes in, and when I say a little bit, I do mean a little bit. Little bit of milk, and you can already see, my friends, it is beginning to turn into the super thick paste. The flour is already seizing up, and that's okay. Look how thick it's becoming. Look how thick it's becoming. This is normal. Again, we do this slowly. Whisk out all of the lumps. Whisk them out, whisk them out, whisk them out. Whisk them out. Excellent. Next addition of milk. Going in now, another ladle. Add it and whisk it in, my friends, to make sure that there's no lumps. Whisk it aggressively. Whisk it like your life depends on it. Whisk it until you get tired of saying the word whisk. This is an annoying job. I know, this is not the world's most fun part of cooking, but this is something that needs to get done. So, you want a beautiful white sauce? You have to work for it. So whisk it up, whisk it up, whisk it up. It's going to look like a paste at this stage, and that is totally okay. Meek, welcome on in. It is lovely to have you. Now that that's all been whisked in, we can do another ladle of milk directly inside. And once again, my friends, as it becomes more viscous, begin whisking it a little bit more gently. Because if you whisk it as aggressively, you're going to end up splashing all over your kitchen. So, get it in there, get it all mixed up. And you can see it is slowly becoming homogeneous. It doesn't look much right now, but it's going to become perfect. It's going to become nice and smooth and nice and creamy and rich. Just trust the process, everybody. Trust the process, trust the method, okay? Trust it all. All right, next addition of milk going in now. Another ladle full of milk. This is the key, my friends, incrementally. Now, slowly mix it in. Slowly mix it in. Slowly mix it in. But your life doesn't depend on it? No, Shy Chica. Do this like your life depends on it. Okay? You can see how lumpy it's becoming, but that's okay. It's a lot easier to work out lumps in this stage rather than later. Now is the time you gotta whisk it out, guys. Now is the time you gotta whip it up. Whip it up, keep whipping it, keep whipping it. You can't over-mix it, but you can absolutely under-mix it. Okay? So mix it up, whisk it up, whisk it up, whisk it up, whisk it up. Keep it going, guys. Keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. Okay? Look at that beautiful sauce. You can see it's becoming a sauce slowly but surely. Next, ladle of milk going in. Incrementally, gradually, slowly. That is the trick, my friends. That is the secret to a bechamel. It's not about having a hot bechamel. It's not about having hot milk. It's about doing it slowly. So add it in and get it all mixed up. It is beginning to form the iconic bechamel that we all know and love. There you go, my friends. That is beginning to get there. Look at the bechamel. Look at that. Look at that beautiful, rich, thick white sauce that we are forming. That is exactly what we need. There you go. Next addition of milk, going inside. Now we can be more generous. We've already left the most critical stage of the process, which is the beginning. The beginning is where most of the lumps can form. And now that we're here, we're basically smooth sailing. After this, we're going to probably dump in all of the milk at once. So there you go. There she is. There she is, guys. Look at my beautiful, creamy, glossy bechamel. Look how homogeneous it is. Look how perfect it is. And you can achieve this too. Anybody can achieve this with just the right amount of patience. So now the rest of the milk goes in. As long as we did the first bit of it incrementally. Whisk it all in, my friends. Whisk it in, whisk it in, whisk it in. And now we have a bechamel going. We have to bring it up to a simmer. We have to drop it down, and then she'll be perfect. No lumps of flour, no greeniness, no grittiness to it. That is just a perfect bechamel, everybody. So whisk it all up. Get the bottoms, get the sides, get the bottoms, right? Get the edges of your pot especially, and mix it all in. Whew, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of effort. It's a lot of love that we're giving it. Also, Cat with a Bat, welcome on in. Hope you're having an excellent day today. Mix it up, my friends. Mix it up, mix it up, mix it up, mix it up. Is that really 3 cups of milk? This does not look like all that much milk, honestly. I hope that I have enough sauce for this amount of pasta that I'm doing. I think it'll be enough sauce. I think it'll be saucy enough. I think it'll come out perfect. Okay? So everybody, once again, at this stage, all that we need to do, bring it up to a simmer, let it simmer for a little bit to cook out the raw taste of the flour. Even if it is going to bake more in the oven, it is just good form. And this sauce is so replaceable with a lot of different things. You don't have to do it based on milk. You can do it based on a broth instead, and that is how you end up with a delicious gravy. Okay? So taking it and I'm going into the bottom and I'm ensuring that all of the stuff from especially the edges of the pot, right, that's the stuff that really, really needs to get mixed in. So going in there, making sure everything from the edges, and whisk it all in, my friends. Beautiful. And now we're just bringing that up to a boil. We're letting it do its thing. Now we're chilling out a little bit. Whew. A lot of effort, a lot of work, and a lot of love is being put into this. There's something that got in here that I don't know what that is exactly. It'll be fine. Whatever it is, I'm sure it'll be okay. There you go. She's all coming together. Okay? So now would be a really good time for us to season it because we're about to taste it. We're about to taste it to see, hey, did we successfully cook out the raw flour? Did we successfully cook out, do we have enough salt in there rather? So a little bit of salt goes in now. We're going to still add in some Parmesan. We're going to add in some black pepper at the stage as well. We'll add an aggressive amount of black pepper. And then we're also going to do the rest of the garlic that I have, because I want to give the garlic a chance to cook out into my white sauce as well. The garlic is going to make it look lumpier than it actually is, but it's still going to come out and be nice and delicious. So that's going. Give that a little taste. At this point in time, see how it's coming along. And just mixing in the sides while I'm doing this. Excellent, delicious, even. It's still lacking on the salt a little bit, but guys, don't forget, we're going to add some of the Parmesan directly into the sauce. This is called the Bechamel with the addition of the Parmesan. and then it'll be perfect. This is used all the time traditionally in lasagnas as well. So mixing it up, mixing it up. Once again, breaking apart any remaining lumps, making sure that my garlic gets all nice and cooked down, giving that a little taste. Yep, we no longer have any raw flour flavor whatsoever. So, once again, some of the Parmesan is going to get mixed directly into the pasta, and some of it's going to go in here. Add it in, but guys, lower the heat when you add in the Parmesan, because if the heat is too high, it'll split and get grainy. So we add in the Parmesan, we add in a little bit more, and then we stop and we kill the heat. Add it in, we make sure that it'll be seasoned, and it'll come out perfect. Add it in, mix it up, mix it up, mix it up, mix it up. Whisk in the Parmesan, my friends, and do not stop until it's all melted in. There you go. Give that a little taste. Ooh. With the Parmesan, the garlic, that is becoming quite phenomenal. The heat is off at this stage. I could probably do some more of the Parmesan that I have set aside here. Add it in, whisk it up. There she is. That is my beautiful, creamy, rich sauce that all of the pasta is going to go into. But last but not least, everybody, we have to do the spinach component of it all. So cheese is whisked in, cheese is melted. Taste that again. Definitely needs more salt though. So that's exactly what we're gonna do. 3 big pinches of salt. Mix it all in. Probably a little bit more. Okay. Excellent. The sauce is almost complete, everybody. The last step that we have is for us to blend the spinach. So let's go ahead and get that done now. So, everybody who'll be all watching, I want to hear a nice yes, chef, please and thank you. I have all of my spinach that we blanched, that we perfectly cooked. And now we're going to just squeeze the water out of it and blend it with some milk. And add that bad boy directly into the bechamel. So, that's not enough yes chefs. I need a yes chef from absolutely everybody. Excuse the amount of hair that I have falling in my face. Again, I need a haircut. This is our blanched spinach. You can see how much of that volume we've lost from it. Now, it's okay for us to have a little bit of liquid remaining inside. It's going to help for it to blend up nice and easily. Okay, and all that we really want to do is just blend it until it becomes nice and homogeneous. The pasta is still going to absorb some water as it cooks, so we don't need to completely get rid of all of the spinach liquid. Just a good amount of it. Nice and drained out. Nice and drained out. Excellent. So, it's time for us to blend it. We want to get that spinach all blended up until it's nice and green and beautiful, and then we'll add it into the sauce. We'll mix everything together, we'll add it into the tray, and then we'll bake it off. So for this, I'll be using one of my favorite kitchen tools, everybody. My gorgeous, my iconic, my beautiful Vitamix. Okay, so in the spinach goes, and you're going to see how vibrant it is. You're going to see how deep and how green it is, and how delicious it all becomes. So, spinach inside. We don't even have to do any additional milk, honestly. I feel like we could just add in some of the bechamel, or we could just do a splash of cold milk. A little bit of milk just to help get it going, my friends, just to help us get a nice, thick green spinach paste. Little slosh in there. And now, we blend it all until nice and homogeneous. Take that bad boy, cap them on, get them to the blender, and you're going to see how beautiful and green it becomes. So there you go. We start off on the slowest speed. Hello? I plugged in the wrong thing. That is not my blender. Oof. Baked pasta has a lot of steps to it sometimes, guys. So on it goes. And once again, all that we're really hoping to achieve is a nice, beautiful, homogeneous blended spinach. So blend it with the milk. Blend it up. And you're going to see how rich it is. You're going to see how green it is. I want it to be nice and smooth, nice and delicious. You're going to see it all in just a moment's time. Cool. A lot of stuff going on, a lot of components. I'll also drain off my pasta. We no longer need that pasta liquid. Everybody, my spinach is nicely and beautifully blended up, and we're just going to go ahead and add this bad boy directly into this lovely sauce that we have prepared. We're going to whisk it up until it's nice and homogeneous, until it's nice and combined. I feel like I've said homogeneous too many times today. Okay, please don't roll over. Thank you. Just chill out over there. And we're going to get this bad boy all inside. This is now my spinach bechamel. This is now the heart and the soul of a beautiful sauce, my friends. Take a look at this bad boy. Ooh, gorgeous, deep and vibrant and green and full of cheese and sauce and spinach. That is going to be excellent. Get a little bit of milk in there just to wash it down. And again, it's all going to bake up and it's all going to get nice and thick. So whisk it up, my friends. Whisk it up. Combine the two. Combine all of the cheese. Combine all of the spinach. Combine all of the bechamel until you have obtained this delicious, vibrant, rich green sauce. Mix it up, mix it up, mix it up, mix it up. All the way. And now let's taste the sauce, everybody. We added in a bunch of spinach. We added in a bunch of milk. Also, swarmbilderade. Well, thank you for the raid. We have alerts a little bit broken today, so I'm not getting all my notifications. Everybody, that is a delicious sauce. A little bit salty, perfectly seasoned. We might do a little bit more salt and a little bit more black pepper, actually. So, black pepper going in. Salt going in. There you go. Because remember, everybody, you don't want the bland sauce. You want the baked pasta to be nice and properly and beautifully seasoned. So now we get to go in with all of our different components, everybody. So remember, my sauteed mushrooms, they're going into the pot. Sauteed mushrooms with all of that garlic and olive oil, in they go. Next, my serrano chili. Gonna go ahead and add that bad boy into the sauce as well. For that heat, for that spiciness. Next, everybody, we have some frozen peas coming on in. And they're going to end up cooking in the oven while the pasta cooks as well. So you don't really have to worry about it at this stage. Peas going in. And again, everybody, I'm not measuring. I'm going purely with my heart. There you go. I think that's a good amount of peas. All right, where's my clip? And last but not least, my friends, my soaked pasta gets added and mixed up. That's been soaked. It is now time for us to add this bad boy on in. It's soaked up in the hot water to give it almost a bit of a pre-cooking. It's not overcooked at all at this stage. Again, it's going to finish cooking up in the oven. But now, my friends, we mix up the sauce. We mix up the peas. We mix up the serrano. We mix up all the mushrooms. And look at this rich, vibrant, aggressively green pasta that we have in front of us as a result. Look at it. And this is still before all of the cheese. This is going to come out excellent. We still have some basil that's going to get added towards the end, my friends. Look at that. Beautiful. Look at that pasta. Look at that salt. Well, not the salt. Look at that sauce, rather. It's immersing it. It's coating it. It's covering it. So how do you mix up pasta without breaking it up every single time? I try to mix it gently and it ends up breaking it into pieces apart. Maybe the pasta I'm using is too big, but it always happens with non-string / spaghetti pasta. So the answer is, yeah, you need to be scooping and folding it. And my advice would be to have the pasta be the last addition. Mix everything first into the sauce so that when the pasta goes in, you have to do as little mixing as possible to be able to get it over the finish line. That would be my piece of advice for you, Nimbus. Or Roshi. I'm just gonna call you Roshi. I don't know why I just called you Nimbus, my fault. Guys, look at that pasta. Aggressively green. It's full of that bechamel. It's full of spinach. It's full of mushrooms. It's full of pasta at the moment. Okay, it's super, super delicious. I'm gonna taste it one more time. Excellent. And now we can begin layering it into a nice ceramic dish. So I'm gonna go ahead and get one that is aptly sized for this amount of pasta. I think this is gonna do just fine. Hopefully. Let's go ahead and find out. Gonna wipe it off. We're gonna add in a little bit of fat to make sure that the bottom gets nice and crispy. So we're gonna get some butter on the bottom. So here you go, everybody. Do you think that's gonna fit that amount of pasta? Do you guys think that's gonna work? I think we'll find out. We'll find out. Or should I use the really, really big tray? I don't know. Let's get some more butter in, into the mess, into it all. Can we compare? Yeah, I'll show it off. Well, maybe I should. No, guys, I am looking at this tray. I know that it's not gonna fit. I know that it's not gonna fit. We gotta get a bigger one. These are my roommate's lovely ceramic baking dishes that I am making the most out of. I think this is gonna fit it all just fine now. We're gonna go big. We're gonna play it safe. That's right. I'd rather not dirty two dishes if I can avoid it. So, everybody, we're gonna do this in layers, not dissimilar to that of a lasagna, right? Because we don't want the mozzarella fully mixed in everywhere. I'm going to grease it up with a little bit of butter, just to help the bottom not to stick as much and to help it get nice and crispy. So glazing it with some butter, and of course, a little bit of butter doesn't hurt anybody. Excellent. Now that that's taken care of, we can go in with a little bit of cheese into the pasta directly, and then we'll layer it in, and it'll be perfect. So guys, take a look. Here's how we do it. First, some cheese, once again, directly into the pasta portion. Some cheese, not all of it, just a good amount of it going inside now. And then we'll mix it up. Okay, and we'll take this lovely pasta, we'll fold in that cheese, we'll fold it and we'll fold it in, and I'm going to begin ladling some into my dish. Oh, this pan might be too big. Well, I guess we'll find out. 2 ladles of that going in now. Should I have done the other one? In retrospect, probably yes. In fact, I think this one might be a little bit too big. Well, we'll figure it out, I guess. Cheese going in a nice layer, just as it is. And then we're going to be packaging all of this with another lovely layer of pasta right on top. We'll get some Parmesan in there as well. This is an aggressive amount of cheese for an aggressive amount of pasta, my friends. That goes in. Next addition, right over the top. Again, not entirely dissimilar to a lasagna, but we want it to be more like spotted throughout the place. Okay, I think that it's actually going to fill up quite nicely. Give it a little shake. Shake it around, shake it around, shake it around. Excellent. And let's layer in the next amount of cheese. And we gotta save some cheese for the top. So, mozzarella and Parmesan, layer it in. Excellent. And the rest of it is going to go over the top. Beautiful. And now, my friends, the last helping of pasta. It was a lot of work, there's a lot of love, there's a lot of effort, but it's all worth it at the end of the day. The rest of the pasta goes on now. I think this sheet tray was actually the perfect size. I think this is going to work out more than fine, my friends. There you go. Right up to the sides. Oh, I got a little bit of sauce on my stove, but that's okay. Look at that pasta, my friends. Look how vibrant it is. Look how aggressively green it is. Let's go ahead and do the final bits of cheese. Right, just scattered over the top. Beautiful. Excellent. 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 Guys, we did it. This is our pasta, ready for baking. We're gonna do one more recap. I'm gonna need to hear everybody say yes, chef. And then afterwards, we're gonna clean up and also work on baking the cookies. So, this is my entirely vegetarian baked pasta. We have, I kind of forgot the type of pasta, but you want to use any kind of short pasta. We soaked it in hot water. We made a bechamel. We blended in spinach into the bechamel. We added in some fresh peas. We added in some fresh serrano chilies as well. We sauteed some mushrooms. We have a bunch of garlic, a bunch of black pepper, and then we layered in so much Parmesan and an aggressive amount of mozzarella. We have more mozzarella by weight than we have pasta by weight. Okay, I was told by enough people to just go in with all that mozzarella, and so we did. We're going to go ahead, top it off with some foil, and it's going to go into the oven. The foil stops the cheese on top from browning and drying out too quickly. We want to first bake this just as it is for about 30 to 40 minutes or so. Then we take the foil off and we let it bake a little bit more for the cheese to get nice and bubbly and brown, my friends. So, in it goes. And then, God, we have so much cleaning to go ahead and do. So, my pasta, she's ready, my friends. She's all ready to go. Gonna go ahead and throw her into the oven. Once again, 30 to 40 minutes or so. And then we take the lid off and we let it bake some more. Just for the cheese to get nice and brown at that point. Setting the timer on, letting it go, letting it do its thing. Whew. Okay, everybody, the pasta is officially complete. We used up all the mozzarella. We used up all the different ingredients that we needed to. God, my kitchen is a mess at the moment. So please forgive me. I'm gonna go ahead and take a few minutes to clean up because remember everybody, when you cook at home, you absolutely must always clean as you go. Clean as you go and you won't end up with a mess at the end of the day. After today's stream, I still may very well end up with a mess, but I'm managing it now and I'm mitigating it now to the best of my ability. Okay? And once again, if anybody has any questions, now that we're at a bit of an interim, this is a good time to go ahead and ask me anything that you may have in mind. Especially if you have roommates. That's right, Drem, you got it. Come on, need this thing to slide off. Thank you. Just once again, throwing everything into the dishwasher that I possibly can, out of sight and out of mind for today. And surprisingly, I avoided snacking on egregious amounts of cheese throughout the process. Despite us having an entire pound of Parmesan just out and begging to go, I have somehow not succumbed to its charms, to its mystery. Which, really, that's a first for me. Normally I'm very, very manipulable by, you know, cheese, that is. Is that a good thing? It's like a neutral thing. It's like, you know, I'm working on it, but it's sad that I didn't get a chance to snack on any cheese before it went into the oven. That sort of thing is going on in my mind at the moment. So it's just a very neutral thing that I'm experiencing, Shai Chica. Yeah, I got a lot of dishes. And my dishwasher is filling up because I didn't completely do a full load last time, which is a little bit tragic. It's a little bit unfortunate, but we'll figure it out somehow. We'll find a way to deal with it, my friends. We'll cope. We always figure it out. Got a few more things I just need to go and get out of here. Okay. Whew. Oh gosh, the stove behind me. Oh man, that's a lot of pots and pans that I used up today. Okay. Pasta's baking off. And so everybody, especially when it comes to blenders, the best time to clean them is yesterday. You don't want anything to get stuck to your blender blades. So I have my Vitamix here. I'm gonna go ahead and take care of this now. I'm gonna take care of this live on camera. Is that the most professional thing of me? No, but I'm going to do it anyways. You do not want your Vitamix, your NutriBullet, your immersion blenders, any blenders or food processors that you use. You don't want the food to dry to it. So, how do you clean a blender? You don't need a brush, you don't even need a sponge. We're going to be using the natural force of the blender itself. We're gonna fill it up with some nice warm water and some soap, and it'll take care of itself, my friends. Okay? Hot water going in. We'll get some soap in there as well, and then we'll get it nice and cleaned up for us. Pasta's in the oven. The pasta's just doing its thing. It's baking. It's gonna get nice and crispy along the edges, or at least is my hope. Excellent. Whew, I need some seltzer. I am incredibly dehydrated. Thank you. It's good to be back. I apologize if I'm a little off my game today. It has been many weeks since I've done a stream. I got hit with COVID and then so much unfortunate timing for a lot of different little things. And so, I guess all I'm just trying to say is it is good for us to be back. Okay. This bad boy, filled up with some soap, filled up with some water. Gonna go ahead and rinse off the rest of my tools for my Vitamix. And we're going to get this thing all nice and cleaned up, my friends. Again, the best time to clean a Vitamix and the best way to do so is by not letting it dry. Do it now. Do it while you're still in the kitchen. Don't lose your momentum that you've worked so hard to develop, my friends. Now is gonna be the best time for you to go ahead and get this bad boy going, okay? So, got them in there. Soapy water, nice warm water. You start it off on a low speed, and then you bring it up. And this applies to food processors, to Vitamixes, to NutriBullets, any kind of blender that you may have. Blend it with hot soapy water, and it'll take care of itself. Just do not let it dry under any circumstance. Just letting it go. There you go. And that's all the cleaning that this guy needs. That's how easy it can be. You don't need a brush. You don't need a sponge. You don't need to get in there and ply off dried bits. Guys, blenders can be so easy to use as long as you do not let them dry. If you let them dry, they will be permanently infested with the smell of the last thing that you made in them. So get rid of it and do it now. Can I please hear another yes, chef? This applies to everybody. Almost everybody owns a blender. You guys almost use it, almost always use it for at least one thing throughout the week. Okay, I love my blenders, but I don't want my smoothies to smell like spinach. I don't want my tomatoes to smell like a smoothie. Okay, so wash it up now. Get everything stuck from under the blades out of it. And get them out of here. Give it a smell. Doesn't smell like spinach at all inside anymore. And it naturally just takes care of anything that is stuck under the blades. Beautiful. Let that dry off. Let that go ahead and just do its own thing now. Just gonna put it up here to dry in the meantime. Excellent. Nice and easy. Got that bad boy all taken care of. I have a coffee machine that has a frat maker attached to it, which I use as a blender. Oh, that's Yeah, that's interesting. A flat maker, those are basically just like ice blenders. That's very similar to something like a Ninja Creamy, right? Something along those lines. Okay, that's all that. That's all taken care of. I have a whisk. I also have a ladle here that I don't really know what to do with at the moment. I have a couple of other dirty dishes that I can just probably throw into my sink that I'm not going to go ahead and do on stream for you all. Just toss that all out of sight and out of mind. So, hi. It's good to see all of you. We just did a lot of cleaning. We did a lot of cooking. Right now, my pasta, it's baking up. It's getting nice and bubbly. It's getting nice and crispy. The serranos are cooking down. The cheese is gonna get nice and melted. We have an aggressive amount of sauce. We have an aggressive amount of pasta, but it's going to be juicy. Guys, how many times have you had a dry baked ziti from your local pizza place or from, you know, the kid that brings in baked ziti to school? Dry, and all of it is just gummy, and all of the sauce is gone. This is not gonna be that. This is going to be vibrant. This is going to be green. It's going to be full of vegetables, and it's going to be aggressively cheesy, my friends. It's not using any, you know, ricotta. It's not using any polio ricotta held together by xanthan gum, right? It's not just going to be this white homogeneous block of dry baked pasta. It's going to be saucy. It's going to be rich. It's going to be bubbly. It's going to be cheesy, and it's going to be green and full of flavor, my friends. So the last step of prep that we actually need to do for the pasta today is for us to go ahead and prep some basil. I want some fresh basil to go over the pasta after it's done cooking, and it'll be great, and it'll be delicious. No fair, the teacher won't let you bring baked ziti unless you bring enough for everyone. That's right, Aubrey and Dusk. I swear I've heard my science teacher at some point in high school or middle school say that. That phrase is so familiar to me for some reason. Okay, so we gotta slice that up, and then afterwards, we just need to get the cookies shaped out and then onto a baking sheet. So that's all the work that we have left ahead of us, guys. We're gonna keep it nice and chill. We're gonna keep it nice and easy. There's not all that much for us to do. It is lovely to have all of you once again. I hope you're all enjoying the show so far. Once again, this is the 1-year anniversary stream. Last year, I was in my mom's place, and we did it from the home kitchen, and I feel like we've had a lot of improvements since then, but the show, it's only gonna go up from here. I apologize for being gone for so long. COVID sucked and was really annoying, but it's nice to be back in action. So, I missed you guys. Let's see, where is my lovely fresh basil? I washed it up, I cleaned it off, and there she is, waiting for us. Okay. And all that I really want to do is just to get some basil prepped, and that's going to go on the final plate itself. I could have baked the basil in with the pasta. Also, Dosky, thank you so much for the 10 gifted subs. Thank you, thank you. It's very sweet of you. I could have baked the basil in with the pasta, but the basil does lose a little bit of flavor that way. And so a very nice way of highlighting and showing off how delicious and aromatic fresh basil can be is just to go ahead and top it off at the end as a garnish, my friends. So let's go ahead and talk about that now. Happy birthday to the cooking stream. Thank you, Dosky. Also, it's lovely to have you. Guys, look at all of my beautiful fresh basil here. So, how do I keep herbs fresh for a long amount of time? I want to hear another yes, chef, please, and thank you. I'm about to tell you. The answer is paper towel plus Tupperware. After you wash and dry your herbs effectively, guys. You don't do the jar method. You don't do a glass jar full of water and you keep it in there like roses. Absolute nonsense. It does not keep it fresh for a long amount of time. Plastic Tupperware, any Tupperware that you would like. Paper towel keeps the humidity nice and regulated. It stops it from being too moist, and it stops it from being too dry. As a result, fresh cilantro, fresh parsley, fresh basil, they can last upwards of a week in your fridge, my friends, without needing to do this water method. I've never seen it work out. I've only seen the fresh herbs wilt that way, which is not what we're looking for. I want beautiful fresh basil to come out, and that's exactly what we're going to go ahead and do. So, that's all ready for us. All that I'm going to go ahead and do, my friends, is just take it and slice it up. We're going to first pluck it off of the stems. I don't think I have to explain how to do that. You'll just be able to see. Okay, just get rid of all of those pesky stems. And this is beautiful, fresh, aromatic basil, my friends. I will need an idea of what to do with it for Wednesday's show, if anybody has any good ideas for me. I love being able to showcase basil. I feel like basil, compared to a lot of the fresh herbs, has maybe some of the worst shelf life in the fridge out of all of them. And so the best way to keep basil at home would be with like a live basil plant that you take care of, but I'm in no position to do so at the moment. So all that we're gonna do is we're gonna stack up my basil leaves. We're gonna stack them up. We're gonna stack them up just like so. Just stack them up, my friends. Get them all ready to go. Stack them up. Maybe turkey burgers with homemade French fries. Two dads kissing. Ooh, homemade French fries in a home cooking show. I have many thoughts and feelings about it and why I think fries are not all that ideal. Fries, they take up a lot of space. Deep frying at home can be a bit of a chore. And then also turkey burgers kind of only make sense if you grind your own turkey. Pre-made turkey, like ground turkey, it's so dry, it's so dense. So everybody, I have all of this lovely basil here. And now we want a nice, beautiful, thin slice. Slice it. Do not chop it. Do not crush it. Hold it nice and delicately. Thinly slice it. My dad had basil in the garden for a while and said it was easier to buy it. But basil is not cheap. This was $3 for a little package of basil, right? And that's $3 that some people buy really often. But the goal, my friends, do not chop it. Do not chunk it up. Do not crush it. Just gently and finely slice it up and get it all ready to go for today. Beautiful basil. It's going to get scattered all across the top of my baked pasta. And the reason why I love baked pastas is because I can shove so many vegetables inside of it. You guys saw how much spinach we got in there all blended up. You saw how much we were able to get away with. That is the beauty of a baked pasta. You can really use up a lot of spinach all at once. And that is what really excites me. I want to have more vegetables in my diet. I want to have a slightly more plant-based diet. Right? I want to eat things that are nutritious and not just things that taste good for the sake of tasting good. And so I'm always thinking about how can I really maximize the amount of vegetables that go into something, at this point in my life at least. I didn't always cook that way. That's a pretty recent development for me. And so that is going to be a continuous challenge. So guys, all of this lovely, aromatic, delicious, fresh basil, that's going to go on top as a garnish. We could have mixed some in and baked it in, but I felt like that would have been a waste considering how good this basil is at the moment. Now, I gotta wash off my knives, everybody, so please give me a moment to go ahead and do so. Because remember, when you cook at home, you absolutely must clean as you go. And then we'll shape out the cookies, we'll get them out onto the tray. We might need to adjust the oven temperature. The pasta temperature can vary a little bit, but the cookies, they want to be at around 350 or so. So, really quickly, I'm gonna wash off my knives. Get them out of here, get them out of sight, get them out of mind. But yeah, we did all the heavy lifting, guys. We made that cookie dough from scratch. We have the pasta baking away in the oven, and we did it all entirely from scratch. No canned sauces. Right, no canned Alfredo sauces, no canned tomato sauces. We did it all from the ground up, and it's gonna come out really beautiful and delicious. We sauteed those mushrooms. We got them nice and flavorful. We got them nice and golden brown. And those are going to be the delicious meaty chunks in there. We have the snap of the peas. We have the chewiness of the mushrooms. We have the vibrant green spinach-based sauce. We have cheese in the form of mozzarella and loads of Parmesan as well. And so you know it's gonna come out amazing. Okay? Just quickly washing off my knives. Once again, getting them out of here, getting them out of sight and out of mind. Okay. Oh no, did I leave my cookie scoops at my old place? Did I leave one of my favorite kitchen tools of all time whose job is literally to shape perfect cookies? Is that what I did? Oh no. Chat, my lovely sous chefs, sorry, don't mean to call you chat. I think I did. I think I did, I don't know what to do about it. Ugh, tragedy. So let me go ahead and quickly find something. Okay. I think I might have left my cookie scoops, tragically. Let me see if I have any. And if not, we're going to have to shape the cookies the old-fashioned way. That's right, artisan hand-shaped cookies, regrettably. Not ideal. I love the cookie scoop because it makes everything really, really nice and even, but if it's unrealistic, if I don't have it, then I don't really think I have any other choice than to do it by hand. Oh, the misery that is being me. Guys, it's difficult being me sometimes, okay? Life is so hard. Maybe use a coffee mug to shape it. So not quite. This isn't a stamped cookie. This is not the kind of a cookie that you would use a cookie cutter for. The kinds that you would use a cookie cutter for are for like shortbreads or for like white sugar cookies, because that is a dough that you end up rolling out. For something like this is a scooped cookie. You wouldn't necessarily roll this out or anything. And so I think I'm just going to divide the dough into even pieces. I might use the scale. I might just use that to get, make sure that everything is as even as physically possible. Okay, so that sound good to you all? I think that should sound good. We should get in total about 8 to 10 cookies out of the amount that I have. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll use the kitchen scale. It'll be great. Okay, my knives are nicely washed off, and I believe we can begin shaping out these cookies. And so we'll just roll it up into a ball. We'll shape them out. We'll get them out as even as possible. My cookie dough has beautifully rested up, my friends. Let's go ahead and take it out of the fridge. And I'll go ahead and show you all how it looks at this moment in time. So, if you were to come with me and you were to go ahead and take a look, this is my cookie dough now that we've given it the ability to rest in the fridge. Everybody, once again, it does not matter the chocolate cookie recipe that you're making. In fact, anybody that gives you a chocolate chip cookie recipe, you will make it mandatory to rest it minimum a couple of hours. I think we only got in total about an hour and 15 minutes of resting time. Ideally, I would do this overnight. By resting it, you allow the flour to fully hydrate. And once it fully hydrates, it is able to bake up the best. If you do not rest your cookies, they will spread out all over the place. If your cookies end up spreading out all over the place, that is probably what happened. Okay, not always. Sometimes you might just have too much liquid. Okay, but generally speaking, it's because you did not rest it. So that's exactly what we did to it. We got it nice and rested up. I'm going to go ahead and tear this plate on the scale. And I'm going to scoop out the cookie dough, and then we're going to divide it into little equal sections. Okay, so let's put on some gloves for this step, for this part of the job. We'll shape them out, and then we'll get them onto the sheet tray. Does anybody have any cooking questions for me whatsoever at this point in time? And if not, that's all good too. Things are just chilling out. Things are just slowly quieting down a little bit now that we have the pasta in the oven. Right, that was the really tough part. So let's get all this dough out in one lump, if possible. Or maybe not, actually. Come on, out you go, buddy. Ooh, that is, when the cookie dough is cold, it's a little difficult to handle sometimes. So please forgive me in the interim. Ooh, and let's have another taste. Okay, so how much cookie dough do we have, everybody? Let's go ahead and find out. We'll get the exact amount of mass. So we have 850, 843. We're going to say 840 in total. So we have 840 grams of cookie dough. The first step is for us to go ahead and get it into 2 things of cookie dough that are 420 grams each. So that's 500. That's 480. Right, if I were just to plop that back on, just double checking my temperatures or my amounts. Yep, 840. So we're roughly shooting for 420 on each of them. Enough two dads kissing. Oh my God. Terrible. So, oh, there you go. 420 on the dot. Excellent. And now that we have it at 420, we're going to go ahead and get this bad boy into 2 chunks that are 210 each. A little bit much there still. Okay. I think that's good. 211, that's going to be perfect. And so that's all that we're doing, guys. We're just going to keep subdividing. We're going to keep subdividing over and over again until we have a bunch of evenly shaped cookies. So 210, that's what we're looking for. 208, almost there. 210, excellent, right on the dot. That's right, nothing is funny about 210. Nobody could make any stupid jokes now. I've won. I did it. Okay, now that we're at this stage, everybody, we're going to get it to about 105 each. Just somewhere in half. Something similar to that. 105, or 104 rather. 102. Now, I think these might still be too big for cookies. In fact, we're going to do it by thirds. We're going to divide it by 3. So, we got 210. That means each one of these bad boys needs to be 70 grams in that case. Let's get each of them to 70 grams, and that's going to be our final cookie dough size. 76, that's just fine. Get this guy cut in half. What do we have? 64, give him a little bit more. 68, that's going to be fine. And what's this guy at? He's at 61. How did this happen? How could this possibly happen? I want them to all be around 70, please. Thank you. I think that should be fine. That'll be more than okay. All right, everybody, 70 grams each. Those are the cookies that we're shooting for. And that's going to yield us what we need. So, what do we have there? 75. Give me some of that back. 72, that's going to be fine. Cut them in half. What do we have? 73, give me some of that back. Thank you. 70 flat. And what do we have here? 65. How could this happen? Here you go. Thank you. Me over measuring. And then the next one I put in less. How could this have happened? I wonder what forces beyond me manipulated it. Okay? Okay, guys? These are all of the cookies that we'll be producing for today. These will still be massive cookies. There's 70 grams each. I don't know if you know that, but that's a lot for a cookie. Okay? All right. Next guy. How much is that? 68. We're going to say perfect. I think that's going to be more than fine. What do we have? 67. A little bit more. 70. Excellent. And what's this guy at? 69, 70. Perfect. Excellent. Everybody, we're almost done measuring out all of my cookies. We're almost done weighing them out. We're almost done shaping them up. 54. 71. Excellent. And what do we have here? 66. What about with all this? Yeah, there you go. Everybody, we have done it. We have shaped up all of our cookies. They're all ready to go. We're going to put them onto a sheet tray and let them chill out until we're ready to bake them. Does anybody have any questions for me at this moment in time? Get rid of this plate. Whew. Pasta's baking up, everybody, 9 more minutes, and then we'll uncover it. We'll take a look at it. We'll see how the top of it is going. We'll see if it's bubbling up. We'll see how nicely it's cooking. Okay. Turning my scale off. Turn it off, please. Thank you. Okay. Oh, we're almost done, everybody. We have a little bit more left to go. I'm going to go ahead and get out my baking tray. We're going to cover this up with some parchment paper, some nice baking paper, and we'll put the cookies on. Parchment is just going to help it to not stick to the bottom. And everybody, as always, I never ever use non-stick baking trays. You don't need non-stick baking trays. You never ever need them actually. If you ever need something to be non-stick, you typically just use some parchment paper in its place. What you need is just some nice good aluminum or stainless steel baking trays, because those non-stick baking trays Okay, they tend to be made out of really, really cheap, thin material that easily warps. It is so much easier, guys, to just use a stainless steel cooking tray. It is one of the first things that I do to people when I show up in their homes. When I visit somebody for the first time, and I see that they have non-stick baking sheets, I make them throw it away, and then I buy them stainless steel baking trays. Baking trays are supposed to get messed up, but non-stick coatings innately do not last, everybody. They do not last, they're built to be broken, and then they get thrown away, and it becomes a waste. So you want to give these cookies some space from each other. They want a little bit of space. They're growing boys, okay? So you want to give them a little bit of space because they're going to spread out quite a bit in the oven itself. So give them some space, give them some separation from one another, okay? And then I'll go ahead and just put this away and we'll get another tray out in the meantime while we're just waiting and sitting around for them to get put into the oven. Next one. Beautiful. And for this guy, I think I can fit all 6 actually. If these are too close together and they end up sticking to each other, well, then I'll die. That'll be the solution. That'll be the final outcome. Okay, great. All my cookies are nice and shaped up, everybody. They're ready to go. They're ready to be baked, but my oven is not ready to bake them quite yet because I'm still waiting for my pasta to be finished. My pasta is going, it's getting in there, it's getting in all nice and bubbly. We used up all of the cookie dough. Excellent. Now, I don't normally do a lot of baking, as you guys may know. I don't really love baking. I don't really love pastry. But this is our 1-year anniversary of doing the cooking show. Apparently, I started last year on this day, August 11th, and so I wanted to celebrate. And that is the point of sweets. The point of sweets is for them to be festive, is for them to be a little bit celebratory. It's for us to do something that we don't get a chance to necessarily always do. So, throwing a few more things into my dishwasher, my poor overfilled dishwasher that is just begging to be, well, don't worry about that, but that is just begging to be actually, you know, washed already, but that'll have to wait till after the show. And that's okay. Okay, I can go ahead and put this behind me. These are going to be some big cookies. Really, really big ones. But I don't think we have a problem with that. They're going to be big and they're going to be chewy. And so everybody, again, really, really important. We don't overcrowd the sheet tray. We don't use one of those non-stick sheet trays either, right? We want to just use nice, good quality stainless steel sheet trays, right? They'll get a little busted up, they'll get a little bit bruised, but they'll be perfect. Okay. I, on the other hand, I think I've grown a little bit impatient. I want to see how the pasta's doing. Chat, do we want to see how the pasta's doing? Do you want to see? Do you want to take a little sneak peek under the foil? Because I'm feeling that way. Instead of that, maybe drop a bit of peanut butter and then fold it into a peanut butter cookie sandwich. Harold Spark, that sounds like an incredible suggestion. What I would do in that case is I would freeze some peanut butter. I would put some peanut butter out onto a little tray. I would spread it out nice and thin, and then I would freeze it. And then afterwards, I would then be able to crumble it up into little pieces. That way, once the peanut butter melts in, you'll get these amazing layers of peanut butter and chocolate throughout. If you were to just mix in the peanut butter as it is, you're not going to get little bits of it. It's just going to be directly mixed into the dough, which is not what I would be looking for. I love peanut butter inside of cookies. I love them so much. They're so delicious. But that is the extra love and attention that you would need in order to achieve that. Okay, so everybody, I think it's time for us to take a look at the pasta. I'm going to have a little sip of my salty. Enough teasing, you guys. And once it goes back in, it only goes back in until the top of it is nice and bubbly. Okay. So, let's go ahead and take a look. Is everybody ready for this? I need to hear one more yes chef from everybody watching, please. And thank you. And so what I would like to see is hopefully for the pasta to be nice and bubbly. I don't want it to be fully cooked at this stage yet. I don't want my cheese to be browned yet. But all we want to do is just peel off that foil and then we'll go ahead and let it brown. We'll put it onto the top rack of the oven so that the heat radiates from upwards and then subsequently browns that cheese. So let's get that stove shot. Let's get it turned on. I can hear it bubbling away. as it is currently baking inside. There she is. And so, what happens if I were to open it up? Well, I guess we'll find out now. Bubbling, beautiful, gorgeous. I think that looks pretty good. And it looks a little bit wet. That's okay, guys. Remember, it's going to set as it cools. So it should be a little bit too liquidy at this stage. It should be. That is okay. That is normal for the pasta to be a little too wet right now. It is hot. The cheese is molten. The sauce is molten. And the flavor of it is pretty fantastic. Look how aggressively green it is, my friends. Ooh, and the heat from the serranos, I just tasted some of the sauce. I got some of that spice in there as well. And now it goes back in. This, my friends, is where the magic happens. It goes onto the top rack of the oven, still just in the baking mode, okay? And this is where the top of it goes from being, you know, just kind of white and greenish to nice and bubbly and brown. So timer goes on, 10 to 15 minutes or so. And that just gotta happen. We just gotta let that thing go. Okay. So, everybody, unfortunately though, in the meantime, I'm not sure if I have a lot for us to talk about. I'm not sure if I have a lot for us to do. So if anybody has any cooking questions, comments, concerns, this would be a really good time to ask me. But now that I'm back, we're going to be going back to the regular schedule of Sundays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 5 p.m. EDT, unless I say otherwise. In the near distant future, now that I'm a little bit more settled in, I hope that we can finally get some camera upgrades. I hope that we can finally get some of the improvements that I've been really looking to do for quite some time now. So, you know, I apologize for being gone. I apologize for not being as active as I would like to be, but we're going to get back to a routine really, really shortly. I would like to continue to develop this into the best cooking show that there is, and to be able to continue to provide that for people. You know, could soap up that last pan unless it's needed later. I could. I just feel a little bad about doing nothing but dishes in front of you guys. I feel like I'd rather just sit down and chat with y'all in the meantime, unless that puts in too much pressure. So some things like the blender, I will absolutely unashamedly wash that on camera. Things like the pots and pans, I feel like that's gonna be like a little bit excessive. I feel like it's gonna be a little bit too much for me to do right now for you guys. But actually there is one thing that I'm missing, which is I kind of want some more Parmesan. I want some more Parmesan just right on top as a final garnish for the pasta whenever we end up plating it. I think that's gonna come out really, really nice and delicious. And so let's go ahead and get that processed. Let's get that grated, let's get that processed. You told me no more cheese? Well, that's right, Taza. I'm actually subverting your expectations. We're gonna have even more cheese right on top. It's gonna come out, it's gonna get garnished with that fresh Parmesan, my friends. It's gonna melt right onto the hot pasta. It's going to add a little bit of extra solidity. It's gonna be lovely. So, grab a grater. Oh, or maybe I should go back into my room and grab my microplane. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that really quickly. And we're just gonna get a little bit more Parmesan out and ready for garnish. Let's get that all ready to go, because a little bit of extra cheese doesn't hurt anybody. I had to go all the way back into my room though to grab my microplane, okay? I see cookies in stream title and people are talking about cheese in chat. I'm deeply concerned about this kitchen. Don't worry, there is no cheese going inside of the cookies. Although, we could actually talk about how to get cheese into a sweet thing in a little bit. Chef, how do you feel like you mix things up when you're cooking with the same ingredients too often? Really good question, Trash Can Cat Mom. So, first off, I don't feel like this is something that I fully answered for myself yet. But right now, what I'm doing is, whenever I feel that way and I feel like I'm getting a little bored of something, hello, what just beeped at me? I think the oven just beeped at me again. I try to plunge into a cuisine that I know nothing about. I try to find specifically an ingredient that I feel like I'm bored with, and I try to see what other cuisines use that ingredient and how do they interpret it. Pasta makes a lot more sense. Okay, I'm glad, Koi. Right, that's what we're going for. We're not looking for cheese on the cookies themselves. We also have a delicious baked pasta happening. If you would like to see the reveal of the baked pasta, I highly recommend that you stick around. That's only gonna be a few more minutes. So, I'm gonna grab my chunk of Parmesan, and we're gonna get a little bit more, and this is just gonna be garnish right off the top. But yeah, trash can. I like to just go ahead and plunge into a cuisine I know nothing about. I did this with Korean food. I feel like I did this with some Middle Eastern cuisines that I knew nothing about, like Yemeni cuisine. I suppose I have some time to spare. That's right, you don't want to miss this one. The pasta is going to come out. It's going to be green. It's going to be vibrant. It's going to be beautiful. I think now we have enough Parmesan cheese for today. I think that's going to be plenty. This is going to go on my garnish plate alongside my fresh basil. That's all going to go on top, my friends. Beautiful. And I'll get this bad boy back into the fridge. But yeah, that is also a challenge that I have with cooking all the time. I feel like, especially when it comes to certain vegetables, I can get very bored of a lot of their preparations. Liam, well, thank you for stopping by. It was lovely to have you. For me, for instance, one vegetable that constantly plagues me is broccoli. I love broccoli. I love cream soups with broccoli. I love charred and roasted broccolis, but I find that broccoli doesn't feel like the most practical vegetable to cook at home. It takes up a lot of space. It's not the cheapest vegetable, and so that is one that I personally struggle with in terms of finding inspiration. But my general advice is look up what professional chefs are doing, especially like higher level fine dining chefs. Get a little bit of inspiration from them, but more than anything else, find all of the different cuisines that use up a certain ingredient. Find all of the cuisines that use up a certain kind of produce. Do I enjoy steamed broccoli? In the right context, Trash Can Cat Mom. You know, a lot of people, I feel like nowadays they shit on like steamed vegetables. They really don't like just, what they call boiled and mushy vegetables. I feel like in the right context, if that's what you're going for, it can also be delicious. Taza, we all know that you love steamed broccoli. Okay, we know this. Okay, get it together, Taza. I feel like anybody watching this has no idea why I'm being so mean to you. But you do eat steamed broccoli quite often. What about steamed hams? I don't know about that, Helvetian Hobbit. Ooh, guys, that pasta in the oven at the moment. Ooh, that is bubbling all the way up and around the sides. It looks pretty incredible. I feel like steaming broccoli can kind of save space with a double layer steamer. So that's very much so a valid thing. And then a nice thing about steaming it is, you don't really have to shock it as heavily because it's not soaking up the boiling water. I find that a texture that I often crave, and there was a bit of Twitter discourse around, was why does the broccoli in Chinese takeout taste so much better, right? And it's because people don't understand the function of stir-frying something. Specifically, I feel like the biggest thing a lot of people mess up when they try to do home stir-fries, flat pan, usually a non-stick pan, a little bit of oil, and they put the food in, and they keep mixing it around. They don't have the heat output, and they don't have the amount of oil. Guys, for a stir-fry, the second word in stir-fry is fry. The food needs to be immersed in the oil. The beauty of something like a wok in a conical or semi-spherical shape is that the oil is able to pool up higher because the bottom is thinner. So with less oil, your oil is able to cover and coat your food more. A lot of people, they have such a mystique and such a romance around stir-frying and woks and the big surface area. Woks are not about the surface area. Woks are about letting oil pool up and having the center be the hottest. You don't cook food on the sides of a wok. But the reason why Chinese takeout broccoli tastes so good is because it is essentially fried and immersed inside of the oil itself. Twitch keeps forcing me into other streams. Koi, I promise you right now, you do not want to miss this pasta. It still has a few more minutes on it. I could even show it to you right now if you want me to spoil the surprise, but it looks pretty excellent. You gotta stick with it. You gotta trust the process. 7 more minutes, that's all I ask of you. You're gonna see how delicious the pasta is. You're gonna see how golden it is. You're gonna see how bubbly it is all around the sides. You're gonna see how crispy it becomes. Oh, everybody, that pasta, she is so close. So proud of you and all that you've accomplished. We love you. Oh, that's so sweet. Welcome on in, Morgan. It's lovely to have you. Hope you're having an excellent day today. I'm finally back. I'm finally streaming again. After, taking a bit of a hiatus because of having COVID, which really sucked. But now I'm back and not better than ever. I'm doing just about the same as always. Yeah. And then as soon as the pasta is able to come out, we'll drop the oven down to 350 degrees. I wish I could cook like you. Well, guess what, Koi? This is a home cooking show. My goal is to be able to help educate people and to help teach them. So, If you have any cooking questions whatsoever, it can be about this dish or it can be about anything else. Any techniques, principles, philosophies, any concepts. My goal is to get you excited, right? I don't want you to just wish that you could cook like me. The way that you do so is by asking questions, right? That is how I consider, you know, when I say that, oh, I got good at cooking, it's because I just kept asking questions. Why does this work? Why am I doing this thing? What happens if I don't do this thing? What is the function of this? And being able to build up a deep understanding. That is how you get good at any creative pursuit, especially the most analogous thing I feel like is something like music. Right? You need to keep asking yourself, why do these certain things work? And you need to look at what already exists and build off of what already exists. They need a cooking class back in school and to make you a teacher. Well, koi, this is essentially a cooking class. I do work as a cooking teacher, and I'm starting to take on some private clients as well. But yeah, so all I'm trying to say is take advantage of my time. Take advantage of the time that you and I have together at the moment, Koi, right? This time is precious, it's finite. So you can, you know, use it to ask me anything. Guy who's really desperate for conversation keeps asking, you know, for people to ask him questions. But yeah. So I want to do something a little bit more celebratory. I want to do something a little bit more festive today, hence the baked pasta and the cookies. But I do love baked pasta in a home setting. The reason I love baked pasta in a home setting so much is because it is one of the most reheatable forms of pasta. I feel like a very big contemporary home approach to food is people saying like, oh, for spaghetti, you have to marry it with the sauce. You have to do the restaurant thing. You have to marry it with the sauce and you have to eat it immediately. And if it's leftovers, then it's not good anymore. The magic of a baked pasta, the magic of things like lasagna, even if it is a lot of work up front, this is the kind of a food that can be in your fridge and be just as delicious throughout the week. Finally catching one of your cooking streams, getting me fired up about food again. Well, Hako, it's lovely to have you. I'm glad that it can get you all fired up. Just a few more minutes on the pasta before we pull it out, my friends. We're getting the top nice and golden. We're getting it nice and bubbly. I'm just taking a look at it to make sure that it doesn't burn. You guys can't see it at the moment. This is for my eyes only right now. Ooh, everybody, that pasta is something serious. That pasta is some serious, serious business. Okay, but yeah, I love baked pastas for that reason. I consider them the most viable form of pastas at home. Unless it's like a quick little, you know, weeknight, whip it up in 5 minutes and there's no leftovers. This is my favorite way of teaching people how to make pasta. Okay, we made this, we made a sauce from scratch. It's filled with peas, it's filled with mushrooms, it is loaded with cheese. Some will say too much cheese, right? Not to be all Reddit cheese pull about it and I feel so silly having these gloves on, but I'm excited about it. I'm just really, really excited about the pasta when it comes out. So just a few more minutes, right? Just 3 more minutes. Koi, a few more minutes, and then I'll be ready. Again, the timing of this step does not matter as much. It's not super, super specific. This is purely just to make sure that the cheese on top gets as brown as it needs to. Okay? And it'll be perfect. And it'll be all ready to go. And we'll let it cool off a little bit before we dig into it. And then we'll go ahead and also do the cookies. I'm going to get the oven in the meantime to 350 degrees instead of 400, because that's the temperature that we need the cookies to be at. Couple more minutes and it'll come out. Does it need the cheese to hold its shape? Not necessarily, Florian. As long as you just have a sauce that is thick and rich enough, the cheese is not essential to hold its shape, not at all. So if you did this completely without cheese, it would be a little bit more liquidy. I would just say do it with a little bit less sauce and it would still be perfect. How would you go about making a cheeseless baked pasta? Yeah, so my question for you is this. Why do you want a cheeseless baked pasta? Oh, Daramgar TV, please call me Koi. That sounds good, Koi. I can do that for you. So yeah, that's what I would like to know. If you're going about this from like a vegan approach, or is it specifically about cheese, or is it specifically about lactose? That's what I would like to know. And this technique, by the way, it applies to also like a red baked pasta, right? So with like a red sauce. So vegan diet, in this case, my sauce is not applicable because I made a bechamel based on milk and flour and butter, excuse me. So it doesn't necessarily need a cheese. You can do this based in a red sauce instead, right? Just make your favorite tomato sauce. Or I also love doing red pepper sauces. I like to do like a 75 to 25 red pepper to tomato ratio, but like a charred roasted red pepper tomato sauce, those can be also quite delicious. So that'd be my recommendation for you. You don't have to do it with cheese, not at all. Ooh, everybody, that pasta is just about ready to come out in 1 minute or less. It's almost done. It's bubbling up. It looks amazing. It looks phenomenal. I'm really excited about it. I keep checking in though because again, we don't really need the oven air temperature. We just need a temperature on top to be nice and hot. So, getting it ready. My roommate also needs some water filled, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that for Phil. Get that done and get that taken care of. Here we go, enjoy. Yeah, so if it's a vegan diet in that case, Florianox, you don't have to really worry about the cheese. You gotta just more so worry about the sauce than anything else. Now, you could also do white sauces that are based on, you know, you can do a fat that's not necessarily butter. Right? You could just do it in some olive oil. You could do it with regular flour, and then you could use any kind of liquid that you would like, but it would give it a bit more of a gravy consistency rather than something that is iconically. Whoa! My oven handle just broke off. Okay, well, that's like an issue that we'll have to figure out later because the pasta needs to come out. We'll figure that out in a second. But everybody, don't worry about that. Don't worry about the fact that my oven door handle just broke. Look at my pasta instead, please. Please look at my beautiful pasta. Look at it. It's bubbling. It's delicious. Whoa, that is an issue and a half. How the heck did this happen? Well, that's not great, I will say. It's not particularly excellent that this happened. I don't know how it even attached here to begin with. Probably from the inside. Well, time to figure that out later because we still have to go ahead and do the cookies. How much for a piece? For free. Well, what really matters, I'm not giving you a fish. I'm teaching you how to fish here. Look at that pasta, my friends. Ooh, that is gonna be a picture. That is absolutely gonna be a picture. That's gonna be a photo. It is bubbling and it needs to cool off. Everybody, do not cut into this immediately. If you cut into this immediately and try to serve it, it will spill all over the place. This is not ready to go. It needs to set a little bit, but the edges of it got nice and crispy. It is nice and cheesy, my friends. That is a beautiful, beautiful pasta dish. Look at that bad boy. So, that's the pasta. That's it. Look at her. Look how gorgeous she is. Right? Oh, we're gonna, in fact, garnish it right now as it is bubbling away with some of the Parmesan right on top, my friends. Some of that Parmesan, just make it snow. And let that melt in slightly. Then also some fresh basil. Nice and up high, scatter it all over, and then we'll scatter some more onto the plate itself. Spinach, peas, mushrooms, has everything that you could possibly want inside of it. You're so glad that you stayed now? Well, Koi, I told you I did not disappoint. Cookies, 350 degrees. We're gonna add them in, I think in total about 12 to 13 minutes. Yes, Trash Can Cat Mom, I got the screws. I got them all in one piece, so hopefully I'll be able to fix it all. Just double checking my timings here. Yeah, we're looking for 12 to 15 minutes or so. $350 degrees, my friends. What kind of cookies? These are some chocolate chunk cookies. All right. So, grabbing my trays, adding them into the oven. In total, 12 minutes of cook time. I got to figure out how to open this oven without using that handle too much because it's all on just one side, but that's okay. Get this bad boy in. That's one. And that's two. Add it in, my friends. 12 minutes, and then halfway through, we're going to drop the pan. And by dropping the pan, it helps the cookies to go ahead and spread out. So, 12 minutes in total. 6 minutes in, we're going to drop the tray. That is what helps the cookie to spread out instead of being super, super dense and thick. It's not gonna be thin and crispy. It's still gonna be crispy. It's gonna have that delicious contrast. So what are you making? Well, good question, Big Brody. You can also just check in exclamation mark menu. But we made this beautiful baked pasta. This is pasta that we soaked in some hot water. We made a bechamel out of some butter, out of some flour, out of some milk, garlic, black pepper, salt, parmesan, and then we blended in some spinach as well to give it that beautiful green color. We mixed in peas. We sauteed some mushrooms as well. We sliced in some serrano chilies. So we're not going to drop it on the floor. We're going to drop it inside of the grates of the oven. Okay, I'll show you. I'll go ahead and demonstrate it. You'll be able to see it all happen. You'll see the magic happen. But guys, this is my pasta, and I'm incredibly proud of her. Look at her. She is setting at the moment. We're letting her rest a little bit. Remember, do not cut into this pasta immediately. Ideally, you'd want to give it 20 minutes, but at bare minimum, 5 minutes is going to make a world of a difference, guys. It is cheesy. It is creamy. It is rich. It is crispy as well. It has so many textures, and it is still full of vegetables. This is a dense, delicious, celebratory dish as far as they go, guys. Look at it. Look at that pasta. Am I joking around when it comes to pasta? Am I messing around? I want to hear a no chef from everybody watching, please and thank you. I will say I am quite upset about the oven thing. That's going to need some fixing because this is not a Phillips head. So it's going to require some special effort. It is a beautiful landscape. It is full of vegetables, guys, and that's exactly how I want to eat my baked pastas. You know what I don't like about baked ziti? There is no greenery inside of it besides basil and parsley, right? It doesn't feel that good to be eating it. It has become increasingly important for me to make sure that I am eating things that make me feel good, right? Not to be like this big like vegetable romantic of like, oh, you need to eat 30 different vegetables in a day. But generally speaking, in a lot of our diets, we don't have a lot of it. Right? People think it only has to be consolidated to things like salads. I would like my food to be dense and delicious and nutritious. I am a vegetable romantic. Well, Taza, I'm glad that you are. I'm glad that you can be. But we have these lovely pockets of mozzarella inside. We have the crispy mozzarella on top, the crispy pasta stuck to the sides of the pan as well, my friends. What is my opinion on zucchini pastas? Amazing question, Koi. The answer is, I don't like to make squirrels swim, and I don't like to make fish climb trees. Now, using a vegetable like noodler, right? Those little machines that twist it into those big strands, I'm sure it's lovely for something like a salad. But the issue is for something like a pasta, there is nothing that resembles the texture of a pasta to it remotely for me. I have a very similar opinion on cauliflower rice. When people say, oh, they've riced the cauliflower, and they do like a fried rice with it, there is nothing in there that is even remotely reminiscent of the texture of rice itself. I feel like zucchini and cauliflower, they lend themselves exceptionally well to a lot of other things that is not substituting. And so when I cook, I don't like to ever think about substitutions. I like to let things do what they do best, and I like to let them sing, okay? So that's always really, really important to me. So ultimately, zucchini pastas or like the zucchini noodles, the zoodles, right? Those can be fine if your goal is purely to just like have that shape for a salad, but otherwise it does not function as a substitute, not one bit aside from the fact that it has a similar shape. It doesn't have the texture, it doesn't have the starch, it doesn't have a bite, and there is honestly no reason to replace your pasta component entirely. I feel like, at least. I'd rather have zucchini featured as something in the pasta itself. You had me lost at first, but the way that you explain things is actually clear. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. But yeah, it is for that reason I really do not like considering something like tofu as a meat substitute. That is a very Western approach to thinking about tofu. It's like, oh, this is a meat replacement because it's meaty and it's fleshy. When in reality, this is an ingredient that has thousands of years of culinary knowledge in so many different East Asian cuisines that you don't have to just consolidate it towards purely treating it like a meat substitute. Substituting for dietary reasons often is a compromise, that's right. But what I think is the case is that I understand if like people want to like eat something again that they can't really have anymore, but I never feel like it even fulfills that function. I never feel like it gets close to that either, right? It never does that fantasy of, oh, this tastes like the real thing. Okay, so everybody, I gotta make a little bit of space here. Probably gonna get rid of this bad boy. Get him out of sight, out of mind, into the sink. Hi, Code Anthony. Welcome on in. paneer masala when? So Gracefully Insane, I believe we've made a butter paneer sometime in the past before, and we made our own homemade paneer as well. So the answer is probably again sometime soon. I would like to lean away from eating as much meat. Meat is a little bit expensive, and I would like a slightly more vegetable-based diet. So the answer is sometime in the future. You have a cool kitchen and hairstyle? Thank you, Doge Doodles. So, remember when I said drop the cookies halfway through baking? We're 6 minutes in. That's exactly what I'm doing now. So guys, take a look. I'm gonna go up here. This is how we ensure the cookies spread out. So, I'm gonna grab a tray of cookies. I have 2 trays going at the moment. Okay, I'm gonna grab one of these bad boys, and I'm literally dropping it, and I'm dropping it, and I'm dropping it, and then I give it a full rotation, and it goes back into the oven, my friends. I'm gonna do the same exact one with this tray. Take it, and, hold on, adjust it, and drop it, okay, and drop it, and take it and drop it. This is how we ensure the cookie beautifully spreads out. Take it, drop it, perfect, get it back into the oven, my friends, and get it baking for the rest of the cook time, which is about 6 more minutes. My handle has completely flown off, so I'm opening it with the edges of the oven. When I said drop those cookies, I really meant it, to drop those cookies. Guys, look at that pasta. Look at that beautiful pasta. It's almost ready to come out. It's just resting up in the meantime. It looks gorgeous, doesn't it? It's set, it is now solidified, but it's still saucy, okay? This isn't your average Italian-American mediocre baked ziti with, you know, a whole thing of pre-made ricotta cheese and a whole thing of pre-made tomato sauce, and it's all mixed in, and there is nothing, and it's just this dry brick of nothingness. This is a beautiful baked pasta, my friends, because it's still cheesy, because it's still saucy. It is loaded with vegetables, but we are not compromising on flavor whatsoever. This is not the least calorie-dense dish you've ever seen, but it is thick, and it is rich, and it is saturated with everything that you could possibly want, my friends. And that is what I am excited for. This is some serious, serious business, yeah? Yeah, Trash Can Cat Mom, that seems like that's gonna be the play. The handle was loose for a while. I do have the screw for it right here, though. So we'll see if we can fix it. Not exactly an expected hiccup that I experienced, but we'll figure it out. So we're almost done, my friends. The cookies, they just need 4 more minutes or so, and then we'll pull them out of the oven and let them rest up. And we'll be all set for today. So in the meantime, I guess I could just get a plate ready for us. I already washed up my knives. Now, what would be the best way to plate this up in a way that would make it look attractive? I don't know. I have these red plates, but honestly, dark red plates don't really make green food look good. It just kind of makes everything look kind of brown on it. So I think on a white plate, it'll all be ideal. Ooh, look at that pasta. I'm gonna have a little taste of it as it is. Mmm. Mmm. Well, that is quite spicy, actually. The serranos, quite a bit. Do you have vids of the actual cooking? Yeah, so we did everything live, we did everything on stream. If you'd like, we have all of the past different cooking VODs. You can just go to the YouTube channel. Also, feel free to join the Discord, Koi, ! Discord. Oh wait, is that link still functional? Try it. Try it and let me know. Click on the Twitch panel, rather, and see if you'll be able to join the Discord that way. Just a couple more minutes until the cookies come out, my friends, and then we'll plate up the pasta and we'll eat. It's quite spicy, actually. I'm not sure if I really wanted the full heat of 2 serranos, but that's what we're going to get anyways. It's got the mushrooms, it's got the peas, it has the cheese, it has it all, baby. It's got it all. Just going into the oven and taking another look at my cookies to make sure they're doing okay. Hey guys, how are we doing? Ooh, everybody, those cookies are beautiful. You're gonna see them as they come out. You're going to see how gorgeous they are. They'll be excellent. So yeah, Koi, if you want the full process, that's what we have. At the moment, I'm not ready to do video content quite yet. Do you like spicy food, Chef? I do love spicy food, but my poor Caucasian tummy does not like spicy food that much, Shai Chica. My tongue is a little bit more ambitious than my stomach is, all right? The answer is yes, but I try to abstain from eating things that are too spicy anymore, because it's not great. Does a bit of sour cream make sense to deal with the heat? Harold Spark, absolutely it does. Some sour cream in there would be amazing. However, consider this is a rich, heavy baked pasta loaded with so much already that more sour cream on top, while fun as a contrast, it might just make it all too heavy and too rich. So I think honestly, just as is, it'll be perfect. I use ghost pepper a lot, but I'll pay the price at some point or another. That's right. Yeah. I might have just deleted Discord so I can't join. That's okay, Koi. We're live every Sunday, every Wednesday, and Friday. This is the first time that we're back. How'd you find the cooking show? I'd love to know. Yeah, all the other cheeses, it might be overkill. It definitely is overkill at that point. It's cooling down. It's looking great. Oh, guys, I am excited to eat that pasta. But we're just still waiting up on the cookies to finish. Okay, great. But yeah, we'll be back into the flow of it. We'll be back into the swing of it all. There was something else I wanted to say that I forgot about, but whatever, I guess. Let's see. Ooh, those cookies look excellent, in fact. They look perfect. They look exactly the way I need them to. They've puffed up beautifully. They've leavened up really, really excellent. Looking at food and drink streams and accidentally clicked on you. Accidentally. Well, that's okay. What I was going to say, actually, I would love to get into actual like YouTube content and YouTube videos at some point. The reason why I haven't so far is because I always felt like my passion was for live broadcasts. I mean, I work in esports. I always did stuff live on camera. But really, ultimately, I just like having somebody to talk with. If I find a way to be able to get a co-host or like a cameraman that's also like a co-host in a way that I can interact with, then I think I would love to be able to do shot and recorded content. Otherwise, I'm not too interested. Okay, everybody. The cookies are done. So out they go. It's all off. It's all done with. I sure am. I'm an esports commentator, Koi. That is my primary line of work. So you're going to see my cookies. You're going to see how perfectly heterogeneous they are. You can see all the different lumps of chocolate immersed throughout them, my friends. They're going to be a little bit jiggly. And they spread out too much on one of my edges. No. They spread out too much. They're a little bit too close to the edge. Remember when I said give them some space? You don't want them to stick to each other? Well, that's why. I don't think I gave these guys enough space, and as a result, we have the situation in front of us. They've cooked for 12 minutes, and now the only thing left, my friends, is just to go ahead and let them cool off properly. There they are, my gorgeous cookies. They're baked up. They're big, they're gonna be nice and chewy, but now, same as the pasta, you don't wanna bite into it immediately. Okay, so, cookies officially finished. Again, they're going to feel like they're molten at this stage, everybody. Let them set. Let them sit for 5 to 10 to 15 minutes or so, and that will be the actual final texture of it. But now, guys, now it is time for us to properly and beautifully dig into this pasta. It's ready for us. It's been waiting for us. Let's go ahead and get a nice proper shot of that if we can. Get in there. Scoop it up. Come on, buddy. There you go. That's it. That's a good boy. Come on. Let's get some of that pasta. That's it. Nice and crispy on those edges as well. Gorgeous. That is what a real baked pasta looks like, my friends. We have this plate. We have this mound of pasta at the moment. And now, we're going to go ahead and get a little bit more Parmesan right on top. And a little bit more basil. And we can go ahead and do a recap session. Everybody, thank you for stopping by the anniversary stream. It is officially 1 year of the cooking show, and we're celebrating with a beautiful baked pasta and some baked cookies. The cookies we won't be able to eat on camera because they're a little bit too hot still, but let's go through what we have. Pasta. We soaked it in some hot water. No need for pre-boiling, but we soak it so it soaks up all the excess liquid. I need to hear a yes, chef. One last yes, chef from everybody watching, please and thank you. We made a bechamel entirely from scratch. Butter, flour, milk, salt, pepper, parmesan as well. We blanched spinach and we blended it in to make this gorgeous green bechamel. We sauteed mushrooms with garlic. We garnished it with basil and we added in a bunch of peas. Peas, mushrooms, spinach loaded with vegetables, but still packed with mozzarella and parmesan. We let it bake and then we baked it some more uncovered to get nice and crispy on top. And it's loaded up also with some Serrano chilies in there for the heat. Happy stream anniversary, everybody. Cheers. Let's have a little bite. Well, that is scorching hot. I would be burning the hell out of myself if I bit into that as it is. So, cheers. It's everything you've ever wanted, my friends. Cheese and pasta and sauce. And look, it's a big pasta, but it's not dry. It's a big pasta, and yet it's saucy and crispy at the same time. You have the chewy chunks of mushrooms. You have the stringy cheese inside. This is a marvel. There's so much happening in every single forkful. That's pretty good. So, that's it. My cookies are chilling out. Thank you all for stopping by. This is Happy 1 Year to the Cooking Show every Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, 5 p.m. EDT. If you'd like to support the cooking show, I keep this thing free for everybody because if anybody has any excess income, !Patreon is the best way to financially directly support the show. I know I've been away for a little bit. I've been sick with COVID. We're finally back and into the swing of things. And so any and all support on the Patreon would go a really, really long way. That is the best way to directly financially support the show. Every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, I will see you this Wednesday, 5 p.m. EDT. And until then, be well and be safe.